Welcome to another powerful lecture discussing Caribbean theology. But it's not just Caribbean theology because, when we think about theology, we are contending for a perspective that is cultural, or maybe theology transcends culture, which one of the students referenced. But before we get into that, Howard and I was discussing the Jamaica Constabulary Force, looking at policing, and I found that to be
Quite
quite powerful
often,
because I understand that
I would
he
love
quite
is
often.
actually, I think he works in the
Howard,
chaplaincy department and he
Repeat,
teaches ethics at the
repeat that,
Jamaica
sir.
Constabulary
I
Force,
have to record
and
this.
he
You
shared his
have a police
perspective
officer
about policing in Jamaica.
Yes,
I
and you went
also
into the
discussed
case
talk about the issue of
and
police brutality here in the
facilitate
U.S. It was
facilitate
powerful.
yes.
Stay
training at
tuned.
the academy in Jamaica.
I work at the academy sometimes, sir. When it comes down to teaching ethics, we are responsible for doing that. My department is responsible for doing that.
And you said that you appreciate it because you see the humanity of the police.
Yes, you get to see the humanity of the police because my job also entails counseling the police.
Mhm.
So quite often you will engage them and you will see their vulnerable side. So you will realize because oftentimes people portray the police as being Superman,
Yes.
people without emotions,
What
people
I
who are impulsive.
yes.
Yes.
You hear about
So go ahead, sir.
you hear about police brutality here in the US, right?
Yes, I've heard of those.
Especially against people of color.
Yes.
And there's been a movement, there's been some people are calling for funding police because of how they treat with and I have said that it doesn't matter where you are because the police is just as brutal in countries where I mean just as brutal in countries dominated by black people.
Yeah.
Um, what is it like now in terms of policing in Jamaica? How I mean, what are some of
What
the issues that the police force have to encounter and do you
well go ahead, sir.
yeah, this is a very important role you have, very important question. I would love to find out. You teach ethics and so on, but the issues of ethics, we always think that police don't have any ethics. We think that police have no more because when you think, because when, I have engaged with police a lot. I'm very, in fact, personally speaking, I have an opinion. Everybody have an opinion about the police until you have a family member or you become closely connected to somebody who is a police officer.
Yes.
I have
Yes.
very different. I've encountered the police here. I've encountered the police in Jamaica. Majority of the time, it's not good. I mean, I've heard, say for example, my cousin died because of the police.
Yes.
He was murdered the most gruesome way by the police.
In
So
Jamaica?
in
In
Jamaica,
Jamaica or America?
he's from England,
Yeah.
visiting, and they were looking for. They were looking. Apparently, some person had killed a police officer.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Believe
evening.
killed some police officer. And what happened was that they had a description of the vehicle and the persons, and so they, I guess, thought that it was my cousin and another person because it apparently fit the description, but it wasn't the case. But they just pounced up, they caught them and drove them up to some hill. And this we went to the mountainside, drove them way up
Mm-hmm.
the hill, and took them out the vehicle and told them to run. And they ran
Wow.
and shot them in the back.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I have never forgotten that. When I
Wow.
and I have had encounters here in the U.S. where the police have. I just when the police was trying to, the police stopped me. I was actually on my way to a court proceeding. The police stopped me, and when the police pulled me over, I was. I mean, he said he just started to, and he approached me with anger, as if he was angry,
Hmm.
infuriated.
Yes.
As if I had done him some, I mean, police officers sometimes tend to personalize their work.
Ah, yes, yes,
Becomes a
yes,
personal
yes.
matter. When it becomes, because why would you be so angry? Because you think as though I am, he felt probably, I was driving a Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
upset, or when you get the Tesla, you know what I mean? Part of
Yes.
that. You know what you did wrong. I said, no, I don't know what you did wrong. I said, sir, are you stopping me? You would like, why did you stop me? Why are you asking? You know why you stopped me, but I am supposed to ask why I'm stopped. It's part of my right. But no,
Yes.
I wasn't supposed. He was mad and was acting, and then started, and then if he was trying to aggravate, trying to pull something, and was just creating. I don't know. He was just creating a scene and acting, and then pull out a gun or something, and I'm going to do you bad, and you better be quiet. You better be quiet. I run the show. I control.
Wow.
And let me tell you, it was, I don't know, and I said to and I was very calm, and I said to him, "You don't know who you're talking with, sir. I'm on my way to the police court, and look how you're acting." And then people started to record. It wasn't until people started to record, and I said to him, "I'm going to the police right now. To the courthouse right up the street, and I am a witness in a case, and you're preventing me from doing that. And I'm going to tell them that it is you and not who you're behaving." And he said, "Oh," and then suddenly he started to back down when they realize who you are or the connection you have. So I mean, I don't know. I know in Jamaica they used to do some kind of, police used to, you pay police on the side to get them, just pull you over, just give them a bread, give them an Easter bun.
Sir,
I had to do that one time. I had to give her an Easter bun.
sir, man, you make certain people in the group here, sir. Because we have a lot of police
I'm the
officers in the
I'm the
group.
only one here, and I know exactly what sir is talking about.
Oh. Well, we those realities are not those are some people's reality, to be honest. And it's something that the force has to be grappling with. The truth of the matter is, and as I was having a discussion with some of them today, is that quite often people always approach me and saying, "Is that what you guys do in training school? That's what you taught them in training school?" And I'll be like, "Oh my God, oh Lord."
Oh,
Because
they're police.
oh Lord, yes.
Well, then
I
is
mean,
both the police in here in the group. Wow.
yeah, man, I know. But I'm a chaplaincy. I'm
Oh,
a
okay.
I'm a peer counselor chaplain at the chaplaincy unit. So as I was telling, so a part of my responsibility is to teach ethics to the students, to those who are coming in,
Right.
to the police
Okay.
officers who are coming in.
I have a
And
question
these
for
are
you, Howard. Howard, I have a
yes.
question for you. You teach ethics in the chaplaincy department and you're a peer counselor and so on. I want
Mhm.
how have you studied policing in other parts of the world, in the US and so on and so forth? And how and when you talk about ethics, and now you're doing Caribbean theology, and of course, probably
Mhm.
there is a philosophy of ethics and a philosophy of religion that informs your ethics. How different is policing in Jamaica as against in other parts of the Caribbean or the world? And and how does that affect the ethics, or how does the ethic, or how does your ethics and your philosophy, and you talk about chaplaincy, the chaplaincy department is probably more Judeo-Christian or Muslim, or what kind of
Judeo-Christian.
Judeo-Christian? So
Judeo-Christian.
so the
Mhm.
kind of ethics what kind of ethics do you utilize for the police force, and how different do you take into consideration various theology and understanding of God?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
we do. That is one of the things that you were trained and informed about, that you do not impose a Judeo Christian beliefs on people, and you have to be inclusive in terms of how you deal with people, because not everybody has your faith or think like you. So we have to be open where that is concerned, right? But regarding here's the challenge, sir.
yeah.
The JCF is a reflection of our wider society. Here's why.
because it's
And the
out of
JCF
this
is the Jamaica
the
Constabulary Force.
constabulary force. Yes,
Okay.
it's out of this wider
society that you're getting these people, right, to turn into police. But
Yeah.
you're getting them, you have to train them within 6 months to transform these men and women to think like police and to behave a particular way. And to the truth is, when you start to teach these police officers, you start to realize that they themselves are challenged because some of the stuff that you're teaching them, it's a first, they're hearing it.
This is
so
okay.
you
Yes.
so you realize that they're coming from
An environment that is even unethical in their dealing with each other. So when you come and you express now the standard to them, they're like, really? This is what the force really upholds,
Oh.
right? And you now have to use 6 months to and a matter of fact, sir, let me back up because it's not really 6 months. We are getting 1 week, not 1 week, one month
Mm-hmm.
to teach them ethics. And it's just a basic introduction to ethics. And when you start to touch the underbelly now, so you realize that no man, this is going to need more time. These people are going to need mentoring. No, the JCF does not offer that.
Wow, wait, hold up. This is quite powerful what you have just said. You said that the police, the training is only for 6 months.
6 months.
But they come into the police force with a lot of educational needs. In terms of the literacy, issues of literacy, the issues of it. So they only have what, basic education or sixth form education or fifth form?
In terms of their socialization, in terms of how they see things, for example, you look at the code of silence, rather to keep them mouth shut rather than speak up, right? That is not just a part of the force, it's a part of the wider society. And they come inside the force with that mentality, and then you will have to desensitize them, take that away from them within how many training sessions? 4 training sessions, which lasts for a month because you only have them once per week for 4 weeks.
Okay.
Right?
How do you
And
get
you would
your
have to.
Go ahead.
It's so now you will have to engage engage them outside of these lectures, and you will have to now become to them an example. You'd have to reach out to, and you can't do it for every one of them.
Wow, that's quite interesting what you have just said. I don't know if the police force, not just in Jamaica but in the world, if there is an ongoing education that involves mentorship. And you said mentorship. Mentorship is quite powerful, and maybe can the church and their I know people like Reverend Courtney Richard used to have renewed ministries, and he had a mentoring and leadership. Is there a way that they can develop some kind of funding or some kind of partnership with churches or mentoring organization to help to develop this mentoring, or maybe train the police to develop some kind of support or body or mentoring program within the JCF, without attaching any cost factor to it?
So that will have to be something we have to explore. We need to start use up our various stakeholders that to get these initiatives off the ground. But here's one thing, sir, that I observed being at chaplaincy. Your stakeholders, they are ready to come on board for events. But for the long term, you find it challenging for them to commit to that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you have a very important job. You have a very important job. I didn't realize that. Wow.
and I think this Caribbean. By the way, were you able to do any of the Caribbean? I was going to ask you an important question. But where do you get your curriculum before I go? Where does JCF get the curriculum? How do they develop their curriculum?
They have a unit for that.
Okay.
They have a unit. You have the JCF administrative branch, and under that you have the National Police College of Jamaica, which is really a college. They're trying to push for it to become a university. That's where they develop all their programs. So they have a doctor from, I think she's from UE. She spearhead the developing these programs. So to be honest, they're making strides, but they're small. So the generation after us will benefit significantly, but they're just they're just touching the tip of the iceberg now. But we need to pick up pace.
Oh, wow. This is good. Now, by the way, were you able to do any of the homework, any of the assignments?
So I have a paper, I have a full paper. And as I was sharing with Chantal yesterday, the only reason I've not sent this paper to you because it's my position and I don't have any external source, none from, I went to the bookstore. I went to the Baptist bookstore to get the book from Reverend Roper. They didn't have it. They said they're going to source it for me. I tried to get Burchell Taylor because the truth be told, sir, I have not done Caribbean theology. It's my first time, right? So I have to, how I will learn, how I learn, I have to read extensively to understand and to get other people's thoughts, right? I have a paper in front of me, understanding Caribbean theology and its impact within the Caribbean. I have that. Caribbean theology is a multi-dimensional and evolving field of study that seeks to explore and understand the Christian faith within the unique cultural and historical context of the Caribbean region, combining elements of biblical interpretation, social justice, liberation theology, and the lived experience of the Caribbean people. Caribbean theology has had a profound impact on the religious and socio-cultural landscape of the Caribbean. This process aims to outline the key aspect of Caribbean theology, and I went to my pastor, he gave me some insight. I have some other persons that were supposed to record their voice note and send to me. They didn't do that. So I have 3 pages here, sir. 3 pages. I can turn around my camera for you to see.
All right, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to find because I want to share a document with you guys. Oh no, I remember what I was supposed to present on today, but everybody's not even here. I'm not even going to present. I'm just going to probably do it in PowerPoint. But yeah, go ahead and share the screen because I wanted to talk to you about something with Bookman. But let me see your screen. Yeah.
Oh, hold on, sir. I have to sign in with my laptop. I'm on my phone now. Let me sign in with my laptop.
Okay, while you're looking at that, Chantel, did I send you an email yesterday?
Yesterday, sir?
With the background of on Haiti, the letters.
Oh yes, you did, sir. I think yes, sir. You did, yeah.
What did I? Can you?
Hold on. Let me check my email, sir. Hold on. He sent me. Let me see what is this. Please send to the students. That's not it. Hold on.
I see it. Background. Did you forward it to the students already?
Oh, I did forward it. Oh, well, this happened, sir. I only forwarded to the Caribbean talk students. I'm gonna forward it now to the theology students as well.
Yeah, the background on Haiti, that one, you forward that to them because there is a section that is quite important that I would love to read.
I did forward it, but it was just only one person that forwarded it, so.
All right, that's fine.
Yes, sir. They can check their emails. shortly.
Yeah,
Well,
send
no.
it to Howard. Send it to Howard. It's
Yes,
background
I'm
on
filling
Haiti,
it
but
out,
there
sir.
is one of the letters, the first letter, is quite powerful. The first letter written by John Maxwell.
Okay,
He
sir.
gives a little background history on Haiti, but and the Caribbean, but while doing so, he talks about voodoo and obia and the Quran.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
And I want to touch on that a little bit today. And I also want to reread a section, a particular section I want to read, if I could find it. Okay, I found it. I have it. But what I need, there's something. Okay, actually, maybe I could put it on PowerPoint. Here it is. Blah, 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 blah. Buckman syllabus, blah, 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 blah. Actually, I think I want to read the entire letter. Democracy in its newest member state as well as social and economic. If Jamaica were to obey international law, the question would not even arise. That is denied a couple of years ago, followed the example of reside from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. With the track record, we can hardly expect them to take a principled view of the Haitian affair. Human rights. By the way, why would Jamaica some years ago withdraw from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? I wonder why. While the work, blah, blah, blah. Actually, okay, so I know exactly this section I want to share. Where is it? Buckman. Here we go. I'm going to read. It's called Common Sense, 429, the anti-Buckman lead by John Maxwell. Oops, I'm going to copy this. Come on. Come on, now, don't play with me. Somebody's on in my computer. All right, let me copy this and bring up my PowerPoint. Let's bring up this PowerPoint. Where's Caribbean Theology? Caribbean Theology, Caribbean Theology. Let's go to new. Ipsum Novum. Create. There we go. Jamaica Theological Seminary. All right, there we go. And then I can do the next one. Your best quotes. Blah, 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 blah. I don't want that right there. Control. Oops. Go back out. All right. Probably what I need to do is to document. What word is this? That's good. I'm going to share something with you guys. I'm going to hold on a second. I'll share that with you. Oh, Williams is on. Oh, everybody is on now. That's good. Welcome, Williams.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Welcome, Howard.
Good evening. No, sir, everyone is not on. It's Karen is not on, sir. I'm just on to share my screen, to share my paper with you, sir.
Okay.
I'm using. Hold on one second. Oh, here it
So I
is.
was talking with Howard that provided quite some insights, which I found quite powerful. Okay, I'm seeing your screen.
So these are
Great.
just
So you,
thoughts.
I see you have your paper. Okay, great. I would love. Okay, all right, fine. What I will do is I would love to hear you understanding Caribbean theology. Go to the top. Let me see. Understanding Caribbean theology and its impact within the Caribbean. Sure, great, great, great. So I would love for you to present that. Let me hear what you have. That would be great. And then I'm gonna hear and Williams have one as well. I would love for him to present his his paper on Caribbean theology. And then as it relates to the second part of the question I had asked, you guys can present it next week. You guys can present that one next week. Today I'll just hear your presentation for today. And then next week you can present on the one that the second interaction paper next week Tuesday. And then I have but I let you guys share, and then afterwards, after you guys both are finished, I want to share with you a letter from John Maxwell, which I thought is important. Wait, there are 5 persons with us today now. Why is it 5 now?
No, it's 4, sir. I'm on 2 devices.
Okay.
Yes, I'm talking on one and I'm sharing my screen with the other.
As soon as I finish presentation, I'll come out. There's 4 of us.
All right, so so you have the floor. Go ahead. Share with us your understanding of Caribbean theology. And then if you guys have any questions, you can, but the floor is yours to share. That's great. And then afterwards, Rolly, I'm just going to share, and then I will talk with you, read a letter from John Maxwell, which I found quite instructive about voodoo, about Caribbean theology, and how colonization has completely changed how we practice our religion and what we thought about religion in the Caribbean, stemming from our African lineage. But go ahead.
So this is my understanding thus far, based upon the classes that I have had. So Caribbean theology is a multidimensional and evolving field of study that seeks to explore and understand the Christian faith within the unique cultural and historical context of the Caribbean region, combining elements of biblical interpretation, social justice, liberation theology, and the lived experiences of the Caribbean people. Caribbean theology has had a profound impact on the religious and socio-cultural landscape of the Caribbean. This paper aims to outline the key aspect of Caribbean theology and explore its enduring influence within the Caribbean. The first thing I want...
Wait, hold up. Very well done. I love how you laid the foundation there. Very good. Very rich. That is how you write. That is a paper. Just by hearing the first 5 lines, I just want to publish it. Perfect. Okay.
All right, sir. So
continue.
I had
to get a little history in my head because that's how I learn.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look
first on the historical aspect
of it. To understand Caribbean theology, it is crucial to delve in its historical context. The Caribbean region, with its history of colonization, slavery, and forced labor, has experienced immense suffering and exploitation. The interaction of colonialization and Christianity played a pivotal role in shaping Caribbean theology. During the colonial era, Christianity was imposed on enslaved Africans, forcing them to adopt foreign religious beliefs. However, over time, African and indigenous spiritual practices merged with Caribbean tradition, leading to the birth of a unique expression of faith that reflects
the struggles, resilience, and the hope of Caribbean
people.
I'm going to ask you read that part again. You said the part that says the intersection of colonization and Christianity played a pivotal role. Okay, go ahead.
Plays a pivotal role
in shaping Caribbean theology. During the colonial era, Christianity was imposed and enslaved Africans, forcing them to adopt foreign religious beliefs. However, over time, African and indigenous spiritual practices merge with Caribbean tradition, lead to the birth of a unique expression of faith that reflects the struggles, resilience, and hope of the Caribbean people.
And let me just correct you. You said Caribbean, but you meant merged with Christian traditions. However, over time, African and indigenous spiritual practices merged with Christian traditions, leading to the birth of a unique expression
of faith.
Okay, great. That's
yes.
all.
So yes. So we
have within us, on this landscape, something that is unique, something that is, and when I said this landscape, I don't want it to believe it's Jamaica, but I'm talking about Caribbean, the Caribbean on a whole, right? Because oftentimes, to be honest, sir, you're from Jamaica, sir?
Yeah, I'm from Jamaica. I was born in, I'm from Jamaica. I came to the US when I'm 29. I'm 44 now.
Okay, a lot of people think when they say Caribbean is restricted to Jamaica.
Yes.
I'm being serious. So I have to point that out.
The Caribbean has a unique culture, a unique expression. After this little research that I did.
By the way, I noticed so far you haven't quoted anyone.
That's my challenge, sir.
Yeah, and
that's why I have not submitted it, because
I went to get the books. There were no books, and I know when you're doing a paper like this, my opinion doesn't matter. We have to get the experts.
No. Sorry, your opinion matter. We are changing that. This is Caribbean thought. This is post-colonialism. You are just as important, but yes, we also want you to interact with information.
Yes.
But yes, this professor is not like any other professor. Okay, we are doing history from the subaltern. Yeah, history from below.
Okay.
You are affected by Caribbean theology. You are affected by the experience of colonization. So you have an opinion. So yes, I want to hear, but I want you to interact with sources, with your church, with your parents, with your grandparents, with the doctrine of church, with Garnette Roper, Berkshire Taylor, Lewin Williams, so on and so forth.
Sir, I'm going to get the books. I'm going to get the books because I reach out to the Baptist church. They have a bookstore. That's where they're going to source the books for me. And I have my little library, so I try to collect books from the class that I do.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Is it at the Kingston bookstore or Jamaica?
You have Source of Light and Source of Light or Life, one of them. And then you have the Baptist Union. They have a bookstore. So those places didn't have the books when I went there.
I forgot about I did not think about sending my books to Baptist Union and to Source of Light. I remember Source of Light. I need to reach out to Source of Light and the Baptist Union.
So you have a book, sir?
What are you? One of the texts in this course is this book, which is I wrote this book. Okay.
So you can ship it to me, sir. I send you the funds. It's on eBay. Not eBay.
It's on eBay. Yes, it's on eBay.
Very much so. You can bet.
Not eBay. I'm talking about Amazon.
It's on Amazon, but don't buy it on Amazon. If you buy it on Amazon, I don't get the money. Amazon gets it. I get $2. Buy it from us here at the Neoliberal. We have our own bookstore. And
so how do we do that?
Chantel now works for us. I mean, we're available online, the neoliberal.com. We are online and we are on eBay. We're all over.
Okay.
Facebook, whatever. You can just type it in, it will come up. But you can get it from Barnes & Noble, Amazon. But I'd rather you get it from me, okay, from the Neoliberal Corporation. We have a bookstore. We plan to set up a whole. We come into Jamaica to set up shop, to set up a major corporation out there. I'm putting Jamaica and the Caribbean on notice. Okay, I'm learning the strategy. I've developed strategy. I'm learning. I've developed a lot of skill set, and I'm ready to start a major publishing and distribution company, global print and distribution company. We are partnering with people. We are coming to Jamaica probably sometime this year to set up a major distribution hub, bookstores, and a publishing company. Because okay, that's going to be on the cutting edge. Okay, and that's going to be part of a movement. So I know some people can, and then I don't know why is it so hard to get Bertrand Taylor book. Why is it so hard to get Lewin Williams book and Garnette Roper book? Okay, we are coming to do some massive publishing stuff there in Jamaica, and just watch out for us. Okay, but anyways, outside of that, okay, talk with Chantel. She will set you up and ask her how to get the book, but you can get it directly from the Neoliberal Corporation. We'll ship it out to you. It will take about 2 weeks to get to you. Once you purchase it from us, it takes about 2 weeks, and you will get.
All right, sir.
Yes, sir. When I'm here, I'll speak to you after class about the book.
Okay, cool.
And eventually, I will talk with you guys because we're gonna start hiring people to help us to promote the books, and we're gonna be doing a big launch in Jamaica. I have a second book that I'm writing. It's already ready, and it's co-authored by Professor Emeritus Dr. Martin Oppenheimer, and he is a guru. He has written several major books, and he was my advisor at the University of Pennsylvania. And UPenn is one of the #1 schools in the world, just so you know. I went to that school, and he helped me to write this book. I was trying to find the book that he wrote, The State of Modern Society. He co-authored this book, so that's the second book that's coming out, and another one on privilege and power. But we have a lot of stuff in the works, a lot of stuff, and you guys will be part of the movement. Don't worry, I will get all of you involved, all my students, past and present, because we're going to do something major. But we are organizing. We're organizing it. But sorry for cutting and talking about what we are doing.
No, that's fine, sir.
All right,
that's fine.
But we're going to support each other. Go ahead.
Okay. So one of the fundamental aspects of Caribbean theology is the reinterpretation of biblical texts from a Caribbean perspective.
But wait, hold on. Where are you getting all of this information?
I have persons, sir. That's why I said they should have sent me, because I sat down with a couple of people. I don't know if you know. All right. I'm going to point out something to you. Don't beat me. One of my pastor is a lecturer.
What is his name? Maybe I know him.
You know him. But
I do.
But I don't. Yeah, you know him.
What church?
Ecclesia Bible Fellowship.
Equestria. Maybe I know him from back in the day.
Yeah, you know. No, if I tell you the pastor name, you're going to know who it is.
Tell me his name.
I soon tell you, sir.
Right.
Secondly,
Go ahead.
I have a friend. Well, he's an elder at the church as well, and he's big on Caribbean theology. He's as passionate as you are. Right? And I also have another friend who is actually the mentee of Dr. Roper. So I sat down with them, I spoke with them, and I asked them to send me a voice note so I could use it as reference, but I gather information from them.
But
so
whatever you have done, I love it so far. I like the concept and the flow of it so far. The reason why I'm asking you, I read widely. When it comes down to reading, I read. So I did read Bertrand Taylor's book. I did read Lewin Williams' book. I did read Garnette Roper's book. Garnette Roper is a very good friend of mine. And I saw, and even part of your opening, as you were reading, it sounds like part of Garnette Roper's definition of Caribbean theology. So
because the person who gave me that definition, sir, as I said, it was actually his mentee.
Okay, but you didn't take it. Okay, go ahead. Sorry for cutting you.
Yeah. So I have 3 persons right now that I'm engaging with, because really and truly, sir, this course has been challenging me. To be honest, I even shared it with a couple of them. I'm like, I'm not big on Caribbean theology. I have to be honest with you. So I drew strength from them. I drew information from them. right? Because I struggle. Here's why I struggle, sir.
Mm-hmm.
They my worldview, right? How I view scripture, how I understand the Bible, and how I understand God, right? I struggle when it comes down to align. Well, let me not use align. Align is I struggle in regards to seeing theology in a different light. Put it that way. So when I hear Caribbean theology,
Yes.
I am asking, why does the Caribbean need a theology
Mm-hmm.
when you have already a biblical framework that can transcend any culture and so forth? But when I sat down with these persons and we have these dialogue and have these conversations and have these debates, because Marcus, sir, these were debates, strong debates, right? They help to shed light on some of my own biases, some of my own prejudice, and also for me to understand that people experience matters,
Yes.
right? So this
When you
is
say
where
people,
so
listen, I have a lot of questions for you. Trust me. What you said the Bible transcends. You said the Bible transcends culture. And by the
yes.
way, boys, and I don't know if you've ever read, I teach Caribbean thought, and we're reading this book, The Location of Culture, which is quite interesting when to hear what you have said. Where is culture? But anyways, the location of, but by the way, and the other book, this guy has helped me to write my second book, which is about to be published, The State of Modern Society by Martin Oppenheimer. But anyway, outside of that, that's not the most important thing. There's a small book I'm trying to find, which I've been using in my Caribbean thought class. And because, anyways, it's Kant on history. Where is that book? Kant on history. Anyways, Kant says, and I say this all the time, human history is a result of the varieties of human nature and circumstance. And because of what you have said today, I'm probably going to go to have class until 10 o'clock because of what you have just said. Because then I know that I now have to present a lecture, which I never planned to present this week. I was going to present it next week. But if I have time, I want to present a lecture that I have prepared for you guys from when. And I'm going to be also presenting it to my DLS, not my DLS, to my Caribbean thought class next week, looking at the foundations of knowledge and the hegemony of faith. That little sentence, what I just said to you is very important. The foundations of knowledge. I do a course at Georgetown. I'm doing my doctorate at Georgetown right now. And there's a course that I did before. I've completed it. It's called DLS Foundation 1, DLS Foundation 2, DLS Foundation 3, DLS Foundation 4. And those courses look at the foundations of Western civilization and the foundations of civilization, starting from Homer's Iliad. Why can't I find my books? Starting from Homer's Iliad, all the way up. And even in my Caribbean thought class, I said to the students that some students Augustine's work became part of Christianity to embellish it because it sits well with it. But I'm going somewhere with this. If history is a result, if Kant is right on history, that it is a result of the varieties of human nature and circumstance, meaning that there is no history without some level of subjectivity. There is no history without privilege. In fact, I was going to ask you a question earlier about the issue of power, because sometimes I know you teach ethics, but power plays a role when you talk, because you're preparing police officers
to go outside to 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 exact a kind of behavior, but it may involve some level of power. That is, and we live in we're living in a world that was formerly colonized. And here it is that police officers are going to adjudicate power, or they're going to flex their muscles in order to create. And many times it becomes an issue of power. Yeah.
Everyone is here now, so
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Everyone, but I only see three people.
So Karen is here.
Right. So it becomes. Oh, thank you. So it may become an issue of power. I mean, how power, but Kant says history is a result of circumstance. Yet you said that Bible transcends culture. However, what is the Bible? I talked about that yesterday. Is it, and how are we to approach it? And how have man imposed his privilege on it so as to exceptionalize his culture, his experience, and his God? We're going to talk about it because when the Europeans came, they came with their God. The Europeans came with their God, with their ideas, and said, "Oh, the Africans don't have no religions; they are savages. Oh, the Africans and the indigenous people of the Americas, they are savages. They are privileged. I'm sorry, they are primitive. They are savages. In fact, it's as if they demonize them. They are devils and demons, demon worship. They don't have no religion and nothing that is okay." So they came. So when Christopher Columbus came to the New World, or came to the Caribbean, or went to Africa, and the slave trade started under the guise of racism and also under this issue of power, because and saying, okay, they privilege their position. And of course, we know that somewhere in the Bible, King James also added certain parts. So the question is, you said that Bible transcends culture, but when the Europeans came, they came with a particular understanding of religion that they sold to other peoples in the world. Now, if Kant says history is a result, because we talk about Jews for Jesus as against Jews not for Jesus, and we talk about competition in the world. We're going to share that later on. If you look at the development of history and the development of Western civilization, you find in various generations, and various societies and peoples adopt certain kind of religion that suits their circumstances and suit their nature. So that what you have, the understanding that the Greeks have, they don't have it in Romans, and what the people and so to the Jews, they practice one thing, but to the Gentiles is something else. So how is it that we say that Bible transcends culture? That's quite interesting. Is it? I mean, that's quite interesting. Yet it is this very same Bible that has enslaved people. By the way, I have a question for you. You said you said earlier in your presentation, African and indigenous spiritual practices merge with Christian tradition, leading to what we have here in Jamaica. So I said to you, what do we have here in Jamaica that is unique to us? Do we not have the same Christianity that is practiced by the Europeans when they came to Christianize us? Unless the Christianity that we practice is the same Christianity, but one that involves some our own African and indigenous movement. Yeah, but then again, what African and indigenous practices is still included in how we practice Christianity today?
Sir.
Yes.
In response to the question you just posed,
yeah,
right? Let me contextualize what I said earlier.
Yes.
Because there are still European forms and practices of Christianity in the Caribbean now, right? But what I was highlighting is that aspect where Christianity from Europe and the African practices merge and give. For example, we have revivalism, right? Which is centered mainly on African beliefs, but is fused with certain beliefs from the Bible, right? We have the Zionist similar also that most of their practices is from Africa, but it's merged with aspect of the Christian beliefs.
Rastafarianism.
So Rastafari, there you go, sir. Because a lot of people, well, some people don't believe, but a lot of people, well, for us, we know that Rastafarianism centered their beliefs on scriptures.
Good.
Yet it have this, what's the term I'm looking for? Liberation.
Yes, it's fight.
There's this
Social
freedom
justice.
fight of social justice aspect.
Yes,
of it.
yes.
Yes.
Because some people think
So-
that was what was lacking in Christian theology. That
Yes.
that kind of fight justice. So okay, great. I love
Yes.
this, man. I love this. By the
So-
way, I'm not knocking
so-
you. But this is good. This is good. This is good. This
Yes.
is sweet. Love it. Mm-hmm.
So I understand that. No, let me jump to
Continue. Sorry, I cut you, but keep on. This is lovely.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. I love it. Continue where you left
there's-
off. I think you left off. You know, you said one of
I
the
want to raise.
one of the
Yes, I want to
fundam-
raise a point. I
Who
want to
said
raise
that?
another point. No, it's me, Howard.
Okay.
I'm raising another point, sir. That for my church,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you'd be surprised when you come to my church on a Sunday morning,
What happened?
because most of our praise and worship song uses the Caribbean beat.
Mm.
Oh, so even those songs that people are of faith and are used to, we use the Caribbean beat to capture it. We use the reggae beat to captivate people. Our church create culture shock in us, sir.
Yes.
We sang a song once. Won't you try, try Jalo?
That's your church?
Yes, yeah.
I know that song. I know it.
Yeah. And we did an evangelism series,
Mm-hmm.
and the theme song for that evangelism series was "We got a message to spread the yard. We got a message to spread abroad." That was the theme song. People were shocked.
Wow, that's powerful.
We were invited to a particular uptown church to
Mhm.
do. They have the song fest,
Yes.
and we went there, and the members for that church, they were culture shocked
Yes. So you're talking
because of the
so then that speaks to the issue of liturgy. So
yes.
okay, that's good. That's good. Your liturgy
So-
has it. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So we embrace the Caribbean experience.
Yeah.
We embrace this aspect of us that says, hey, we are unique and we have something to
Yeah.
share out of our own unique experience.
Yes.
So we don't dismiss these things. I want to put that out there. Persons are when young people come to our church, they're like blown away. Because things that are dismissed as being not good is used. We use it as an instrument to share and to spread the message.
Yeah.
So we embrace we embrace all genres of music, and one of the major embracing is reggae.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
So
good.
yes, sir.
I think you are at the part where you said one of the fundamental. I think that's where you were. So I
Yes.
was actually ready. One of the
Oh,
fundamental aspects of Caribbean theology.
Aspect of Caribbean theology is the reinterpretation of biblical texts from a Caribbean perspective.
Right.
No, sir. When that was shared with me, I wanted to point this out. It was a major debate.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's my challenge now, sir. For my understanding of interpretation of scriptures,
Yeah.
right, is that the Bible has one interpretation. The applications can vary and have million and one applications. But my understanding is that, hey, there should be one interpretation to scripture, but the application should be wide. So here comes again another challenge where I have to wrestle. And I put it to you, sir. What says you about
You know what I say.
reinterpret?
You know what I say. I mean, that is an argument from convenience or a cop out. I think that
Yes.
we if you come to my Caribbean thought class, I talk about
Mhm.
Descartes talk about cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. He had an existential challenge, an existential problem in terms of coming to the reality of unadulterated truth. How can I know of anything? Okay, fine. I'm going to start by saying there's nothing that exists. But then when he says nothing exists, something is thinking that exists. So you can, and he said, fine, I cannot deny that my mind exists. So as much as I say nothing exists, something is thinking that nothing exists. Said I am only certain then of the subjective aspect. And in order for me to get and understand, so my reality is my reality. The Bible talks about work out your own salvation. And of course, I believe that God is than that which nothing greater can be conceived or imagined. God is omnipotent. God is omniscient. God is omnipresent. Not only that, I believe that just like God is diverse, and oh my God, and just as all the creation has all these colors and beautiful things. And I believe that God meets us where we are. So therefore, okay. So, and I say to you that, of course, interpretation is limited by our nature and is limited by our circumstances. Because even you might say that even we talk about application, we have so many denominations. They all have, they not only do they have an applicational difference, but they have an interpretational problem. And some of them won't even come together because there is an understanding that they have, okay, which prevents them from amalgamating with any other denomination that had a different interpretation. And I believe that is the devil's work. I'm sorry, I tell you that. That is the devil's work, to keep people divided. And I believe God wants us to come together. And man has made it so that we cannot come together by making the Bible exceptional, by saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man coming to the Father except through me. So we have done the same thing what colonial masters have done. We have included in the scriptures some privilege and some power that makes us exceptional. Just as how the Americans talk about being exceptional over other countries, that creates privilege. Human beings are selfish. Human beings have certain natures that they privilege over others. Human beings have certain franchise. We're so competitive. We want to believe that our religion is the best. Our denomination is the best. We even create words in our Bibles and in our interpretational aspects to embellish it, to make it better than the rest. But I say to you, human beings cannot deny the subjective nature. The subjective nature. But God is omnipotent enough. God ministers to us based on where we are in our context. You say, oh, I know Howard. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to reveal myself and intervene in Howard's life based on where Howard is, based on quantum time and his limitation of space. And then God is going to go to Ronaldo and he's going to have and reveal himself to me. And guess what? I'm going to have a different interpretation. This is all with Chinese telephone. But what is important? What is important is that God speaks to us. But then I'm going to say, okay, no. However God reveals to you and what you have written is wrong. My revelation is right. So it creates controversy and tension in the world, which is the death of humanity. And that's why I talk about the death of humanity, the death of the world. And and I believe that when the Tower of Babel, when human beings were working together on the Tower of Babel, and then God said, oh my God, people they're coming closer. That was a great picture. And the humans can work together, and then he created and then they had divided tongues. Okay, and then all of a sudden, people have the Bible talks about having different languages and tongues, and then from their nations and so on. But that was a great picture. It shows how we are divided, but yet still we can still come back together. So I think the ultimate of all things is for us to recognize that God speaks to us in various ways and in various means, but men have exceptionalized their understanding, their subjective understanding. Now, can there be an objective truth? Can there be an objective? What we all agree on is that the Bible speaks about the palpability of this God that is beyond us. Now, what we can't agree on actually is, I mean, the inner workings of this God. But yet still, I mean, that's what we can't agree on, I believe, you know? So I believe that even interpretation have problems, just even the application have, and that's why we have so many denominations. That's why we have so many religions, because we are people driven by subjectivity, and not only that, not only are we driven by subjectivity, but we privilege our subjectivity, and include within our writings things that make our understanding of our subjectivity exceptional over others. So that's my position. However, I tell you, I'm a Judeo-Christian. I subscribe to the Judeo-Christian faith but I don't privilege it over any other. I mean, if you want to be a Muslim or worship cow, all power to you. I find my value in these scriptures, in the Judeo-Christian faith, and sometimes God ministers to me through it in certain ways I've never believed He would ever. Because I don't limit God. Because if God is omniscient and God is still speaking, God is still speaking, because God is still speaking. So that's my understanding of what. So that's where I draw the line, so to speak. So, but as I said to people, that's just my take on it, and I have my own reasons for doing so. You have your own take on it. I am not going to say, oh, what you said, Howard, is wrong. I would never say that. Absolutely not, because we are all people driven by subjectivity. You are making a very profound and powerful point, and I like that. Okay, continue.
Caribbean theologians aim to uncover and emphasize the empowering message of hope, liberation, and social justice found within the Bible. The biblical narratives of liberation, such as the Exodus story.
This is beautiful. Resonate deeply with the experiences of Caribbean people who fought against this slavery and colonial oppression. Very good. Through this mass reinterpretation, Caribbean theologians have sought to reclaim their faith and affirm their cultural identity. That is good. But so far, I like the interaction so far. Very good. Continue.
Yeah, so my phone just rang off a while ago, sir. So that's why the audio cut. I'm using my phone to talk to you through my earphone.
Oh, I was here actually. Yeah, man, that's cool.
Okay. Right?
Yeah,
Through
man.
this reinterpretation, Caribbean theologians have sought to reclaim their faith and affirm their cultural identity. Central to Caribbean theology is its focus on social justice and liberation. Influenced by the global movement of liberation theology, Caribbean theologians have placed the struggle of the oppressed and marginalized at the forefront of their theological reflections. They actively address issues of poverty, racial discrimination, gender inequality, and the exploitation of natural resources. By combing biblical teachings with the concern of Caribbean society, Caribbean theology offers a framework for advocating for social transformation and the dismantling of oppressive structures. Now, sir, a part of this, a big part of this, is the Rastafarian religion.
Yes.
When we hear songs like "Old Pirate, Yes the Rabbi," "Soul I to the Merchant Ship," minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, and we say, "Oh, he's singing about slavery." But the understanding of that song, sir, is Bob Marley is going up against the oppressive system that exploited him through controlling his music. And at the back end, he is reaping nothing, but they're exploiting him and reaping the bulk. of money, of his labor.
Yeah.
And you find resistance in this song. You find resistance. He's now resisting the established order within the music industry.
Yes, yes.
There, we have folk song like this long time gal, me never see you. Come make me hold your hand.
Hold your hand.
This
Yeah.
long time gal, me never see you. And we do not understand the context of song like that. This is Miss Lou when Queen
Mhm.
Elizabeth was coming to Jamaica for the first time.
Yes.
She sings the gal reference in that song is to Queen Elizabeth. And Miss Lou is saying to Queen Elizabeth, we need to have a conversation. What is the conversation that we need to have? Miss Lou is saying this. Peel a drankro, sit down in a treetop, pick out the blossom, come make me hold your hand, girl. What is she saying? She's saying to Queen Elizabeth, you have some people from England that is raping our economy. The blossom there, what happened to a blossom if you pick it before it bear the fruit? It destroy the crop. There's no food, nothing to eat. And the peeler drunk are those white men with them head
Yes.
middle
Yeah.
clothes,
Uh-huh.
right? And she's saying to Queen Elizabeth, your people that are raping our economy, and we are here struggling. My people are struggling. So you have these folk song and people look at it and say, oh, she just sing some song. But these songs were standing against the oppression of the established order.
Yes, yes,
So you
yes.
have, and you, there are several other songs, sir, that have examined, especially the ones from like a Peter Tosh, some of which I cannot quote because of where I am. There is a song that is filled with expletives by
Yes,
Peter Tosh,
yes.
right? And it will offend some of our sensibility because it have expletives. But
Yeah.
when you listen to what Peter Tosh is saying in the song, he's saying the reason why the youths are crying is because of the oppression that they face.
Mm.
So coming out of this, you have the Rastafarian, and
By the way,
that
but I love how you talk about peel it, drunk, oh, sit down in a treetop. Make me holy. Oh, I love that. Oh my God.
yeah,
Thank you for reminding me
yeah,
about that. And yes, the peel it, drunk, oh, you know, we know what they're talking about, but not even not many Jamaicans knew this. I didn't know this growing up until I came to the US and
yes.
started revisiting Caribbean history, Caribbean theology, Caribbean literary geniuses, and so on. You know, these things escape you until you really study what they're saying. But yeah, quite powerful.
Yes, quite powerful. So you have this resistance
Mm-hmm.
against the established order. I know there's
Yeah,
a call for eyes to know, pay attention to the the oppression of the people. And you
yeah.
have a Mr. Lou, you have a Bob Marley, you have Peter Tosh, and others. But anyway, so let me continue. This
I
is
had a question
eh,
for you, but I don't want to give you too much time. Let me get you wrap up so that I can hear Williams' presentation. I
yes.
can't
Let me
wait to
hurry up.
hear his as well, and then Keon. Yeah, go ahead.
But still
Oh
finish
wait,
soon.
you
Don't
have
worry.
more stuff. Yeah, go
This is
ahead. Let's
just a few.
wrap up. But
Caribbean theology is deeply rooted in Caribbean culture, which serve as an essential source for shaping religious practices and beliefs. Theologian
hey,
emphasize the
not too fast. Yes.
the interconnectedness between faith and culture. That's you, sir. Seeing culture as a dynamic force in expressing the understanding of God. That's you again, sir.
Because as I said,
The
remember I said to you, you cannot take the man out of God and you can't take God out of the man. You cannot take man out of his word. God gave man power to make sense of the universe. Okay, man is making sense of and he's on how he relates to God. He may relate to God as a Muslim. He may relate to God as a cow. He may relate to whatever he relates to God, but man, God gave man, and God relates to, but one thing we know for sure is that God is relating to man. God relates to man. But however, man latches on to various different things in order to understand. Now, how does God feel about it? As against how you feel about it, or somebody else who practice something else feel about it. It's as if they become God instead of God become, because people privilege their understanding of God or what they have read about God in books written by men who have sought to provide a perspective on God, okay, within their milieu and based on their own time and history. But we have, it's as if we don't, there is no basis for that. But when we talk about, remember, you know, I believe with Kant. I believe what Kant says. And I believe what Michel Foucault said, talk about how institution help to provide a particular kind of slanted knowledge, to preserve that knowledge. And we are the benefactor of that, because we talk about the Caribbean being part of that new world, being part of that Western civilization, and being made in the eyes of the European. But the thing is that we can never fully become European, no matter how much baptism we have, no matter how much European Christianity we have. We will never be like, because we are still part of that supremacist culture that says, yes, you must be like us, but you will never be us, because to be us is to become one with us. And that's a problem. Okay. But the thing is, culture, if you study cultures throughout the entire world, every culture have a particular understanding of the divine. Certain cultures you have some, and in some cultures you have a dominant religion, and in some liberal cultures, like as America, although we say America is a liberal society, there is still, I mean, with freedoms, you can't become president if you're a Muslim. Okay. All right. You have to be Christian. But okay, and in Europe, you find, you know, French is a liberal society. I mean, they're both teetering around liberal, what they call it, secularism, and they'll just always just fight for secularism. You know, secularism has nothing to do with culture. I mean, culture is culture, secularism is secularism. But the point I'm making is that if you study generational history, if you study from the first man all the way up, every period, every generation, or wherever you go, when you start to study German culture, Eastern cultures, they all have cultures, and these cultures have various understanding of God. Now, what does God feel about this? But we never ask ourselves that question. It was always what I feel about it. Then it's as if we become God. Our understanding of God takes primacy. Then we are God, in a sense. It's the same thing. If it was not discovered by a white man or by the Europeans, it doesn't exist. Not until Christopher Columbus discovered the New World existed. Okay, outside of anything European or Anglo-Saxon, it does not exist. Or if it wasn't written by a certain people, it's not written. You know what I mean? So the point but we won't make that same mistake that people do to privilege themselves and their interpretation. I always say to people, I don't care what perspective you have, but you must remember that you are a human being driven by some level of subjectivity, limited by various how you see the world. People react to stimuli differently. That's why you have iMessages. iMessages is a recognition that people see and respond to stimuli differently. Somebody might use the F word and you respond one way. Another person might use the F word and you're like, oh my God, okay? But why two different responses to the same stimuli based on the person? Because persons use their own experiences and understanding and training and everything to impose a particular response on a particular stimuli. But it's going to be different somewhere else. Now, what does that tell you? So then I ask you, but there are those who say, well, no, it should be this. It should be like this. It should be, this is the way, this is how God intended it. That means you are God. That means it is you I worship. But the Bible says, work out your own salvation, yet it is you our God. Well, of course, it's important. It's part of our passing on from one generation to the next generation to preserve a particular culture. Of course, well, if you want to preserve a culture, then you write the Bible in a certain way that preserves a people's understanding of God, and that's why you have that understanding. Because religion was also to preserve the culture and how they worship and how they live and how they do and how they organize family unit. Okay, the religion also helped, or if your country became occupied by one of the emperors, then the religion becomes the emperor. Whatever religion is the emperor, that's your religion. You know. But the important point I'm making is we talk about, you know, there is always a relationship between culture, whether in the Caribbean, even in Europe. So I disagree. That liberation, the beauty. I mean, well, no, not that I disagree, but I would explore this concept about culture and theology. And by the way, when we talk about Caribbean theology, we're not just talking about Christian theology. Caribbean theology focuses on also, of course, the experiences of colonization and so on and so forth. That's very important. But at the same time, Caribbean theology also have to consider Pan-African nationalist movement. That has also part of the Caribbean experience was this Pan-African drive. So that has helped to affect our drive, our cultures, our understanding of our thing. That's why some people just cannot accept Christianity. They'll rather become Rasta, okay? Because of the experiences of colonization. They just cannot see themselves as a Christian. Okay, in fact, some people think that it's a white man religion. Now people say, oh, that's a cardinal sin to say that. No, it is not. Okay? It is not, because of the experiences that people have. If you live in an abusive house, that people are not telling you to go back into the abusive house. They want you to leave the house. You don't have nothing to do with that abusive house anymore. Okay? Notice I say abusive house. And some people think that, oh, we are selling out our cultures and our peoples by practicing a certain kind of religion that is Christian, because Christianity promotes a particular culture that is European, okay, that has done injustice to our peoples. But the point I'm making is, I don't think, the issue of culture and religion or culture and theology is not just a Caribbean theology aspect. It is in every culture. In every culture and ethnicity, there is some kind of experience or practice that is utilized to help preserve that culture, okay? And religion is just a part of that. So, but this is quite important what you have said. You talk about between the interconnectedness between faith and culture, because culture, what is culture? Way of life of a people. The way of life of a people. And of course, sometimes the way of life of a people help to determine the kind of Christian, how they see God. Or maybe the way of life of a people help to determine how God interacts with that culture. Because maybe God wanted Muslim from that, okay? God intervenes in human beings based on where people are. And so some people use this a Muslim lens to connect with God because of the culture, that the kind of culture they have. They refer, but then we're using semantics anyway, because it doesn't matter. We're still talking about a supreme being, but we believe every culture believes that their culture have the right being. But then the issue is when you start to export your culture, through conquest, that you're also exporting what? Your religion, your theology, your faith. Because when Christopher Columbus came to the New World, okay, and even with C.L.R. James, right, how England and Europe underdeveloped Africa. When they came to the New World, they brought not. Please remember, Christopher Columbus came in the name of God. He brought two things: religion. He said he was coming to spread religion. Because these sailors, they weren't just sailors. They were coming in the name of God. They came to spread religion, the Catholic Church, and they came to spread to find gold. Yeah, religion and to find gold. Okay, and so on and so forth. But by the way, I wanted to make a point about, if you look at Jamaica today, the kind of religion that we have, and how people treat with certain religion. And we talk about mainline churches, and I've said this before. and then revivalist. Many Jamaicans, many Christians look down on revivalists. They say it's too. Where does that come from? They look down on revivalist traditions. They look down. Those groups are seen as fringe groups. Those groups are seen as the poor man group, poor man church, or people who are lack a kind of education. Okay, that's the revivalist group. That's if you were to do research, do a questionnaire yourself, and take it around different parts. Interview 100 people. Do that at your symposium or research. I'll mark it. I don't care. I'll mark that. You can do that. Come up with some questions, and go to get people, Jamaican and Caribbean people's attitude towards African traditions. So for revivalist, Zionist, Rastafari, Voodoo, okay? But when you ask the question, don't make it sound demeaning. Just ask some questions in a certain way to get their opinions, okay? Ask it of people in different groups, men, women, okay? Educated, not very educated, yes? Young and old in various groups, okay? You go to a Catholic church, Anglican church, mainline church, and then the evangelical churches, and then the Pentecostal churches. Develop a research paper like that. Come up with 15, 20 questions, then you give it to and you give it out, because you want to get an understanding and awareness, further understanding in terms of Jamaican or Caribbean people's feelings and attitudes towards African traditions, like revivalist African beliefs, or you put them on a continuum. Okay, which religion is the best one, or something of the sort. You sit down, you could do that, develop some kind of a research with some 10 questions, and then when you finish, map it and come up with your findings. What are Jamaicans' attitude and feelings today towards African tradition or faiths that heavily centered around African tradition? Okay, do they still refer to it as the poor man religion? Or like some people used to say, or then they like Rasta, some Christian or Rasta, or Obia Voodoo. What is Muslim? What are the attitudes and feelings of Jamaicans today as it relates to the revivalists? Are they still considered fringe or off center, not necessarily relevant? Some people are even afraid. When I was younger, I was afraid of revivalists and Zionists. I was afraid that they want to go. You just think that, they dabble in the dark arts, the voodoo and obia and things. You don't want to do nothing to do with the revivalist people. They're weird, they're loud and okay. That it's nothing from Africa no good, and they have too much Africa, too much rhythm. But too much rhythm. But But anyways, I wanted to make that point. Continue, wrap up your presentation.
Let me wrap up, sir. So, where was I? It is
the interconnectedness between.
the interconnectedness. Caribbean theologian emphasized the interconnectedness between faith and culture, seeing culture as a dynamic force in expressing and understanding God. This rational theology highlights the value of community, oral tradition, music, dance, and spirituality in the Caribbean context. By incorporating cultural elements, Caribbean theology creates a platform that allows Caribbean people to embrace their unique identity and engage with spirituality on their own terms. The impact of Caribbean theology within the Caribbean cannot be overstated. It has played a significant role in a sense of autonomy and agency among Caribbean people, empowering them to challenge structures of oppression. Caribbean theologian has been at the forefront of social movement advocating for justice and human rights and economic equality. You can wrap it up there, sir.
Powerful, but I fully appreciate I will still give you an A for this presentation, but still do some work on it. And by the way, you may want to consider Jamaican attitudes towards traditions that have a lot of African traditions in there. What are Jamaican attitudes? You can develop a questionnaire with 20 questions, and you could ask question 1, question 2, what religion are you, what faith are you, age group, and then you could say, okay, Matt, this, what do you think on a scale of 1 to 10, Zionist religion are of low faith? But I will probably, if you want help to develop something like that, a questionnaire that's
I'll reach out. Yes, sir. I'll reach out to you via
yes.
email.
And
Yes.
I'm interested to know as
Yes.
well. I want to know what are
I,
how is it changed today? What are our feelings? Go ahead. I am cutting you off. I apologize. Go ahead.
no. I'm saying that is interested, and I want to know too as well.
Yes, yes.
So
Because back in the days, growing up in Jamaica, I'm telling you, and I'm saying this because I know from a fact, and I grew up in first of all, my father was a pastor, grew up in an evangelical church, Jamaica Evangelistic Center. And then I transitioned into the United Church in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. But I grew up in a particular kind of experience that looked down on what they call it, that looked down on the Zionists and the revivalists and the Rastafari. You know what I mean? And some of my mom was, so I shouldn't say it because mommy might be watching probably later on. So I'm not going to say it. Okay, mom, I won't out you. I will out my mom, okay? But look down on the Rastas. They don't want the Rasta to be too close to them. Rasta nasty and dirty. Stuff like that. That's, by the way, I'm going to read this thing though. But if you were to refute what I am saying, you might say, oh, Professor, please. This is Professor. We are not Africans. We are Jamaican. Listen to what Homie Barber said. In the location of culture, talking about V.S. Naipaul. Naipaul's people, V.S. Naipaul is from Trinidad, original, the late. He was a literary genius. He says, V.S. Naipaul's people, you and me, and so on, are vernacular cosmopolitans. Vernacular cosmopolitan, talking about language and global citizen of a kind, moving in between cultural traditions and revealing what? What are we revealing? Hybrid forms of life. Hybrid is, when you talk about a hybrid is a mix of different things, of the original and new things that make it up. So we are hybrid people in the Caribbean. We are hybrid. I tell you, okay, if you do my history, I'm a mix of African and Latin and Cuban and Scottish and Irish and an American Indian and Arawak. I'm mixed. That's who I am. I am a mixture. We are mixed, and that's one of the beautiful things about the West Indies and the Caribbean, urban population. We are all mixed up. We are okay with different realities, influences from America, from the indigenous. I don't know how much that plays a role in influence of Africa. It plays some roles. It's stronger than the American Indian part and the Arawakan part. And then, of course, the European influence as well. So you could argue that, Professor, we are hybrid people. So therefore, the culture that we have is of an hybrid form. So if our culture is not African, we are not African people, but we are of African, we have some African ancestry. Okay, so we're not African. We're not European, however, we were colonized by them, and they were trying to make us look like little colonial subjects. Okay, that looked like the English, and some of us might have some indentured laborers, like from India and China. Some of us may have the Arawakans still have some look. So, but we mix. We're new people so we mix up and blend that. So what does that mean? Does it mean that, so what will our religion look like? What will our theology look like? And do we practice the same kind of theology of privilege and power and position? Do we still do that kind of, so that's quite powerful. But thank you so much for your presentation, Howard. That was dynamic and I like it. The only thing is I will accept it and mark it, but I would love for you to include some in the future when you write another interaction paper. It's great for you to include 1 or 2 sources, or so according to the doctrine at my church, they believe XYZ, and I have always think, say for example, he just said something to me, say, well, sir, I have a problem with this. You could have said that in your interaction paper. You could have said, based on Lewin Williams and Garnette Roper and many Caribbean theologians, especially those who are of a liberation theology bend, would promote this interconnect. But I struggle with this. Just as though you talked to me just now, that makes for beautiful writing.
Okay.
I struggle with this because I believe that the Bible should transcend culture, because if God is than that which nothing greater can be, I see where God can provide a revelation of himself that does not necessarily mirror traditions and cultures. But then you can say, well, having a cultural or traditional religion, does it take away from the omniscience of God? Or is it my mind playing tricks on me? Or maybe I am limited by my own privilege and subjectivity, thinking that I cannot have culture. I cannot have a God that is cultural. Okay, or whatever. Or, that's how you play with things. That's how you think about it. You write it down. You always, when you ask yourself some question and come to a decision, you also want to ask them another question. I mean, but is this true? Is it so? Is this the way? I mean, can there be any other way? Can we see a God that transcends culture? But what does it mean to transcend culture? Does it mean to worship only one way? Does it mean can God transcend culture but still intervene and intertwine with man within certain intricacies that speak to the man's lived experiences within his own context? Yet he still sees God as beyond, yet within. Still respects God as God, but he's developed his own little way to find meaning, while somebody else developed his own way. But what we are human nature. We have this human nature to privilege stuff. This is my problem, Howard. This is where my problem is. Human beings, we are full of privilege and position. We are selfish. That has always, if you look at Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, there is always this selfishness. And we have to be careful that we don't make the same mistake. Okay? Privilege our understanding of God, limiting it to our own interpretation, as if God cannot limit his understanding of himself based on the limitations of our own interpretation, so that the way we see God is the way God wants us to see him, based on who you are and who he made you to be. And then the way how Chantel sees God is the way God uses Chantel's own intricacies and how he made Chantel for her to relate to God in the way. And that's what God wants to see, a beautiful world. And God makes us, and we talk about how we are made in the image of God with likeness, and God made us unique. So if God made us unique, can't God relate to us in that uniqueness? No. We create a general rule. But to see God in a unique way, does it take away from God? But does it not speak to the omniscience, the omnipresence, and the omnipotence of God? So, so I asked myself, this is part of when I went to seminary, to JTS, Jamaica Theological Seminary. At one time, I went to Reverend Court and I said, sir, I can't do this no more. I'm going to become an atheist. No, listen, I'm done with this, man.
You are going to
I don't know what to believe no more.
What were you going to become?
An atheist or something. I don't know. I come to seminary to learn about God and stuff, and all of a sudden I am so confused now. I feel like I should be an atheist. At one point at the seminary, I got to that point. And my professor, who was my mentor, Reverend Courtney, said, just start from the beginning, like Boltman and so on. Just start from the beginning. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna try it. And but eventually I have come up with something awesome, I think. Let me tell you, my faith can never be shaken by no one. I believe that we should work out our own salvation. And even, you hear me talk about a general rule, a general will. Culture is important. We talk about nationalism. Nationalism is good, but sometimes there's a problem with nationalism. We talk about culture is good, but there's a, say for example, spice. Sometimes people use culture to control other people, to control behavior, to control, oh, you Jamaican, you shouldn't do that. Jamaicans don't do that. And that's the problem I have with culture. Jamaicans don't, we can be Jamaican, but doesn't mean that everything that Jamaicans do, I must do. Can't I do something else that other human beings do that may not be what some Jamaicans do without not seeing anti-Jamaican? So sometimes we use culture as a stick to beat people. So I think in a very broad sense, and I push things to their logical end. And I believe that God is omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient, and he uses my unique ways to intervene in my life. Okay, and he does so, and I believe he's doing the same thing for all of you. Okay, we are all different. God make the Bible, we believe that. We believe that God makes us unique and we are all different. So therefore, if we are all unique and we have a perspective and a way of seeing the world, that doesn't mean that how you see it is less important than how I see it. But when I start to attack you and say, oh no, that makes no sense, you should, I have a better idea. That's a problem. That's privilege. That's colonization that has so ravished how we view things. We think in colonized ways in our theology. Because I tell you, you look at the Caribbean today, we have many denominations, many different ideas, but guess what? Some of the churches still cannot come together. Some of the people, we cannot come together. We cannot work together. Even when we work together, there is still some suspicion, internal suspicion with each other. But that is great, because when we can't come together, that is good. If things can't hold us, that's great for those who want to control. Yes. But Howard, thank you. I'm so happy. You were right on the money. You came on the class on time. We had a discussion about what's going on in the JCF. I'm telling you, that was powerful. Oh my God, man. I love it. This is great. Thank
Sir,
you.
I didn't know that Sir Courtney is the mentor, sir.
Oh man, that guy was my mentor, man. Let me tell you. Courtney Richard Beckford,
Richard too?
all them guys. We were one group. We were in a group together. Courtney Richards, all of us, all them people from back in the days. Courtney Richards, and then Richard Beckford was in my mentoring group. We were in the same group together. There was another, what's his name again? Zyphus James, Shelley and James Peart. Oh, we are in the same group. Tafari. What's his name again? That's that was the pastor up at the missionary church, that tall gentleman. Can't remember his name. Teddy Jones. We were all in that group together, man. We are all together. That's why we're so strong, we're so powerful. We had a great mentor. And I remember I was not doing well. I was failing my subject. I think at one time I was not doing so well at JTS, because I used to love playing video games. Oh my God, I love Grand Theft Auto, Mortal Kombat, PS. I love playing video. I love big video games. I love video games, and but they helped me, at a mentoring group, and they said, okay, we're gonna take away your mentor. We said, what's preventing you and all that? You're an 8 student. What's going on? We're gonna take the PS away from me. They took the PS away from me for 1 month, and then yes, because I was distracted. But thank you, man. Yeah, man. I can't wait to this was great. I love it, Howard. I really appreciate that. That's good. And let's talk some more about, maybe you guys we could work together to do that research. Look at Jamaicans' attitudes towards like African traditions, religion, like revivalism, Zionists, and we could probably work on a questionnaire that we could give out to the students. To give out to people randomly, and then when we get back the papers, it's easy. We plug it into a graph, to a data. I know I have AI and technology that can read data real fast. You plug it in, bop, it read it, and then you guys can now look at the data and come up with that. Say, oh wow, this is interesting. We did a data just to find people's ideas and attitudes in terms of towards their African traditions and so on. And this is what we're finding: 20% of Jamaicans and 30% of Jamaicans, and of the 5% who are of the mainline tradition. But what we learned, though, is quite interesting. People from 5 to 20, I think it's those from 25 and up, their views are kind of different. This is That's how. So we have to know, develop the question that give you the kind of data analysis you're trying. So we could work on that together, guys. That would be great. A project, instead of doing an essay at the end of the class, we just do that research together. I mean, we could do that. That would be great.
Yes, sir. As a group presentation, that sounds good,
Yeah.
sir.
And I'll be part of I'll do it because I'm interested. I want to do a research like that. I'm interested that we could all work together to do that. And once we work it, we publish it and we make it into a journal, an editorial, because that's my plan. My plan is to get more writing, get you guys into writing. So when you do research, this is how you show how we develop research just now in this class, Jamaicans and Caribbean attitudes towards religion. That's how you do it. And then we develop and then we produce it into the theoretical, we produce it into a book or into a journal, and then we publish it. And as I said to you, we can publish. If you know any Jamaicans who want to publish, we do publishing too. We publish your stuff. But we're gonna work on something together. And that would be great, actually. That could be our project. But thank you. Now we're gonna end right here. We're gonna pause right here. Chantel, what you have to say?
Yes, sir. I was saying that if you could remind them about the final assignment and what they're supposed to do.
The final assignment. I think they're gonna do an exam and they have to do an essay.
No, sir. No, man, sir. The essay. Paper.
There's no symposium.
Present at the last day of the class.
Right. There's no symposium. But what I want to do is for all of us to present, for you guys to do a paper and just to present it to the group, to the class. But now I have a different mindset. I have a mindset in terms of doing a research around what we were talking about, Caribbean and Jamaican attitude towards African religions and their African experiences, religions that's based on African religions and movements, such as Rastafari, Zionist, revivalists, and so on. And then we put the questions together, and we give out the questionnaires, and then we get it back, and then we just plug it into a research analysis, and it does the data for you, and then you just create, and then you can report on it based on your findings. You know what I mean? Based on your findings, 20%. Because I'm saying that back in the days, many Jamaicans looked down upon the African traditions and religions and culture, or religions or practice and movement. But what is it today? Is it the same thing today? That I want to know, because we're talking off the top of our heads. We need to do our data. I would love to find out. So maybe we could do that together. So maybe what I could do is we could put some questions together, maybe 20 questions. And then you guys could give it out amongst randomly to people in JTS. It could be among JTS. It could be among people in your own churches, in your communities. Just give it out. People of different ages and whatever. And then you get it back and then you crunch the numbers. That's it. We could probably make it easier. We all do one work together. And we submit the paper. Instead of you submitting it to me, we all submit it as a class together to JTS as a paper that they keep in the upstairs in their journals. That was something we published. So that could be something. I want to do that.
Okay? I agree with you, sir. It will be my first published article.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do then. We're gonna do that because this is groundbreaking. Nobody's doing this. Nobody talking about this. This is good. We're gonna do that. We're gonna work on that. I'll develop some questions. If you have questions you want to develop, you develop. Maybe you could help me with some of the groups. What are some of the African traditions and groups that we have in Jamaica today that we could include, and then we could put it on the questionnaire, and they could click, say which religion is more Jamaican than another, or which religion you, on a scale of 1 to 5, rate the religion in terms of your feelings and impression. We could do that, but we're gonna need we know there's revivalists, Zionists, Rastafari, Obia, or whatever they call it. What other groups are missing? Then we could come up with the groups, and then I would probably finish once I can come up with the questionnaire, and I have a technology that will also help me to make it target what we are looking for. So we put it in, plug it in, and it comes out with what we are looking for. And I send it to you guys, and then you guys, it's like 2-page. You just give it to your friends, email it, whatever, or anybody randomly. You get it back. We put it together as a group, and then we collate it together. And then I'm going to put it into a data form, and then it pushes out the data that you can compare, and then I send it to you guys, and each of you could make sense of it and say and so on. But we could do that together. And all you're doing is just reporting on the information between 10 to 5 age group. So I could say, okay, Howard, take the people who are between 10 and 15. William, look at the people who are, and Karen, look at the people who are between 55 and 75. Okay. And then you compare, you do that, and then and you bring everything to me and I put everything in one. And then we put that, I think that has never been done. This is, I tell people, this is a lab. We're doing a lab. When you do Caribbean theology, Caribbean thought, we have people who are post-colonial subjects, people who are doing history from below. And so we are revisiting history and rethinking about history, and we are coming up with the research ourselves because we have to contribute to academia and we contribute to theology. And when we're done, I'm telling you, I am going to publish this, and you guys are going to be on the paperwork. I actually, and I only found that it's just while doing your presentation. So this is how you come up with research. Actually, you get an epiphany. I got an epiphany just now. You get an epiphany, and you want to push it to its logical end through data. So that's good. All right, next we're going to go to, maybe let's take a 5 minutes break. Do you want a 5 minutes break? And then when we come back, we ask William to share his presentation. And then after that, we ask Karen to wrap up with his presentation. And we finish at by the latest 10 o'clock, the latest. All right, but I'm loving this class. I'm loving it. And some of you, Karen, you missed the beginning of it. Howard was talking about his vote. But by the way, he is an educator with the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and he talked about that. So what's up, Karen? Wait, what are you? You also work with the police?
But sir, at the Caribbean Thought, which is just last semester, how could you not know this?
Wait, I told Chantel it's the same Karen, but you were saying it's somebody else.
Sir, the reason,
Chantel.
the reason I
Sorry, yo, I teach a lot of class. I said Chantel, and I said Chantel, that's the same Karen, and she's like, no.
Yes,
But it's the same Chantel. What you say?
I said it was. I said it was. I didn't say it was different.
Oh, I thought you said it was different. Oh, wow.
No,
I've been some challenges with class, man. We're work between work.
Yeah.
It's really pulling on me.
Okay.
But me now give up still in me and push on.
You will all pass this course, okay? But I need you to at least, but try your best to submit
So I have the two papers to send off. But I will start it out though.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So you're a police officer.
But sir, from last semester I've been saying I even use reference for the job several times. Maybe because you weren't seeing me like this. So probably.
No, okay, sir. Okay, police. Okay, and what you have? Corporal, constable, what is it?
I'm a constable.
Constable Karen Francis. And you know who is in this class? One of your teachers, Howard Bowley.
Sir, give me a minute. May I take a report? So I'm gonna keep listening, and I'm actually taking a report, and the customer is waiting on me.
All right, thank you. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate your effort that you are at work, but you are still in the class. I appreciate that. All right.
No problem, sir. Cool.
You will present last, okay? Maybe some of your co-workers will hear how you present. Yeah, man, that's good. All right, so we're going to take a 5 minutes break. When we come back, Williams, we're going to take your presentation, and then we will get Karen. And if you guys missed the beginning of the class where Howard was talking, I believe that was profound. We will have it on the recording. We take a 5 minutes break. All right. This is Caribbean Theology. And as we conceptualize Caribbean theology towards a workable definition, a definition that comes from you, the subaltern student, I will say to you, let us look at Caribbean theology. And when we come to Caribbean theology, we have, one of the things we have to define is Caribbean. Of course, we are all students of Caribbean thought. We did Caribbean thought, and we're doing it. And one of the things that Caribbean thought talks about is the fact that the Caribbean being an invention. Of course, we say that Caribbean people, they're hybrid people. They're mixed because of their experiences, the experience of Caribbean, colonization, and so on and so forth. But when we see Caribbean theology, we see Caribbean and we see theology. But of course, we say that there's theology. Why do we need to practice Caribbean? Why we need to have we talk about systematic theology, contemporary theology, so on. But why is there a Caribbean theology? Caribbean, and of course, Caribbean theology speaks to a theology of culture, a theology of culture, Caribbean experience. But we say Caribbean is an invention. So is our theology also invented? Is it part of the invention? We say Caribbean, or are we talking about the socio-political aspect of Caribbean? Is it an invention? But does it also stand to reason that not just is also our culture invented, an invention? But of course, when you look at the Caribbean became much of the Caribbean became new nations in the 1960s, 50s or 60s, apart from one or two that got independence before that, like Haiti, but that is still struggling for democracy anyways. But when we look at Caribbean, of course, Caribbean also, it's a place, we look at Caribbean in terms of the geography, but also the people and the challenges or the problems. But we look at Caribbean because we said that culture carries with it its products and its economics and its theology, but then you also have to look at theology. Now, when you look at people like Muta Baruka believe that God is man-made. The idea of God is a man-made concept. The idea of God is a man-made concept. That's what some people believe in the Caribbean. People like Muta Baruka believe that the idea. Now, but the question is, what does he mean that God is a man-made concept? Does it take away from the reality of a God even? And when we talk about man, okay, when we say that God is, when Muta Baruka talks about God being reference to God as being man-made, what is he getting? What is he talking about? God being man-made? Is he really talking about God, the ultimate, is man-made? Or what we see as God today and how we interact with that God and all of that, that comes from our own human experiences. Human beings develop this understanding, even if there is a God. Say, for example, if you study philosophy, you have metaphysics, epistemology, emergentism, so on and so forth. And there are some philosophers who will tell you the reality of anything, a particular kind of philosophy on existence, would say whether or not you believe that there is something exists, it exists outside of you. Okay, so say for example, you can look at the tree. The tree only exists based on your own experience of that thing. But does it have any existence out of your experience? And if a tree drop in a forest, does it make a sound? I mean, it depends. Are you an idealist or a realist? Okay, are you an idealist? Are you an idealist or a realist? It determines on your ideology whether you're a realist or idealist. So I said, okay, God, the idea of, so this is how we say, okay, the tree, something exists because human beings make it exist, or the existence, something have an existence outside of the human being. Now, of course, Descartes says, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. You can know, it exists to you, but how does it exist outside of you? It's a different matter. So Muta Baruka say, oh, there is a God. But the concept of this God, or how we see this God, is developed by the man. So although God is the ultimate, but how we see God and how we relate to him is man imposing himself to create this God and how we relate. So man creates this God and relates to God, but that doesn't mean that there's something beyond man or beyond man's conception of God that speaks to a God that made all things. Now, when we think about God, who is this God when we talk about God? Okay, theology comes from the word theos is God, ology, which is study, the study of God, or the study of the ultimate. And I say to you, what is this God? The study of God. So now we are contending with this study of God. We said, okay, we'll begin by saying God is omnipotent, God is omniscient, God is omnipresent, immutable, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And then we talk about a Caribbean theology, a Caribbean understanding of this immutable, omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipresence of God. So then as you think about God, as you think about formulating your theology of God, where do you begin? Do you begin with Caribbean or do you begin with theology? Or do you begin with God? Do you begin with God or you begin with the place, the Caribbean? But of course, there are those who believe that you cannot take God out of man out of that theology of God, and you can take theology out of that. So then we are left with the challenge. So, you know, that's what theology has always. Theology is not. It's not that people think it's an easily said that it's more easily said than done. But when as you practice theology and develop your own theology, of course, we have to come face to face with those realities, with those arguments about where do we begin? Do we begin with culture? And then we say, okay, no, you don't begin with culture, you begin with God. But okay, fine, you begin with God, but how this beginning of God, how are you seeing this God? It is your culture, your experience is helping you to see this God. Yes, you're seeing this God in a sense. By the way, I used to have all these tattoos. I never had tattoos before till I came to the US. And when my mom came to look for me, and I would always wear long sleeve and hide it. I didn't want her to see my tats. And you know, but it is our theology. Our theology will also determine our practice too. Talk about how we see God and how we practice that. You know, it's quite interesting. But so those are some of the things that you want to bear into consideration. Now we have William. William, I'm happy to present. William sent me his paper. I found it quite interesting. By the way, when you start a paper, one of my professors many years ago at University of Penn in 2010 said to me, Ronaldo, when you start a paper, never start with a quotation from somebody else. So the first 4 lines should not be, say for example, it should not be, say for example, I'm going to read this book. Let's say I'm doing a paper right now, but I begin by saying, I was not one of midnight's children. I was not one of midnight's children. My belated birth some years after the midnight hour that marked India's tryst with freedom absented me from that epical narrative. That is according to Homi Bhabha, who was explaining the importance of vernacular cosmopolitanism and the challenges it imposes on culture. And so we ask, where is culture? But that's not how you start. You don't start with, I was told that you don't start with a quotation. You start with the idea first, and then you move with the quotation. So you could say, the location of culture has always been, where is culture? Where does it begin? Okay, especially when you think about global citizenship and the fact that people travel, especially those from the global south, looking for opportunity. So then, we ask, where is culture? In fact, Homi Bhabha said, I was not one of midnight's children. You notice what I did there? So instead of starting with a quotation from the book or from somebody else, I start with my own words, and then you move, and then you get the quote. So that is, I'm just giving, that's an advice. When you write interaction papers or any paper, always don't begin with the quote. Don't begin with the first lines or the essay. Shouldn't begin with something from the book of somebody quoted. You begin with your words first, and then you move into the quotation. Okay, Williams, it's your presentation. Welcome, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. I seek and listen carefully.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit confused though.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to Howard and listen to what you have said in terms of being subjective.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you a question because Howard said based on his worldview, based on the Bible, as a framework that transcends every culture and whatever it is, whether Africa or Caribbean or Europe. Now, what you are saying, we are too subjective, and I am the truth, the way, and the life. No one comes to the Father except by me. That's what we believe as Christians. So now this is like, okay, I am the best. So no one comes to the Father except by me. That's what we believe, and that's what we profess.
But say that last thing again. I am the what?
I am the truth, the way, and the life. No one comes to the Father except by me. Something like I think I make a mistake somewhere.
You're right. Exactly I am the way, the truth, and the life. Yeah.
So that's what we believe as that's what we believe. That's foundational for our faith. Now, this being subjective, right? Because it's like we say we are the best and put down in put every other faith or belief.
I like how you start that. I like how you start that just now.
Yeah.
I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
No man cometh to the Father except through me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So this is subjective and it's like, okay, not accepting or, balancing or, allied with any other belief system. But can we have many truths when it comes to Christian belief? That's what I want to ask.
What do you think about that's why I'm happy you brought that. What do you think about that? Well,
that's what I'm asking.
I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to God except
well, thinking about that, because while you guys talking, I'm here listening and process my thoughts, right? Processing my thoughts and say, okay, then now as somebody who read some books and about religion and coming from Haiti, I know about voodoo and come to Jamaica and after my class in Caribbean thought. Am I still here?
I am.
Oh, okay, good. Come to Jamaica and after my class on Caribbean thought, see some kind of culture in Jamaica and the way things are and come to your class now.
Yes.
So you think I don't want to say fair. I don't want to say it's okay for me to hold that. And when I get to a Rastafarian and I say, that's what I believe. So the Rastafari say something different. When I turn to the one in Haiti that, practice voodoo, how we balance this now? How we balance this?
How you balance what?
Well, I have a belief system and the Rastafarian believe, something, the voodoo in Haiti. So is there many truths? I don't think there is many. Yeah, we have many truths.
Well, I mean, first of all, when we talk about truth is not even easily arrived at. The philosophers and the great scholars and thinkers, they are still debating about truth. And you even have various theories of truth. You have American truth. You have African truth. You have European truth. You have now Caribbean truth. So I mean, so we talk about pragmatic truth thinks that they think the way they see truth is that something is true if it's practical to them.
Sure, that is truth. That is it. True. Yeah. What is truth for me may not be truth for you.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So you are left with one. What are you left with? With man. You're left with man. You're left with man and his human nature. You're left with man and his privileges. Yes?
Yeah.
You're
But,
left.
sir,
Okay,
sir,
continue.
question. But we're still left also with Jesus' statement.
Yeah.
I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except me. So even when we strip away the many theories and the many philosophies, we come back to this grappling statement that we have to deal with, that Jesus just declared this exclusivity of himself to God. Then what do we do with that?
That's my question here.
I'm going to answer that question. I mean, I said to you, men have always sought to privilege their position. Human beings. We said that history is a result of the varieties of human nature and circumstance. And I have a lecture I'm going to talk to you guys about when you looking at the foundations of knowledge and the hegemony of faith. When you start to study the foundations of Western civilization all the way up, you see a common thread where men have always sought to privilege a position. In fact, there was one time there was a competition between Jews for Jesus and Jews not for Jesus. So I am saying to you then, when we look, because there are even those people who don't include the whole New Testament in part of their religious experience. It's only the Hebrew Bible. They don't consider the Christian Bible as normative and valuable to them. Sorry, the New Testament, because Jesus seemed weak and mild, and they wanted a Jesus that was like Achilles. And the Jesus that we have was too meek and mild and sacrificial. But the Gentiles needed that kind of Jesus based on their own experiences. Okay. While the Hebrews, their people were going through, driven from their land and by the Romans and so on. And so they developed a religion they were looking for Jesus, a hero. The Achilles was one hero. The Jews came up with their kind of hero. And then the Norseman from Germany, they have a different kind of hero or savior. All these, when you start to study civilizations and see how they're hero. So the Gentiles and the New Testament, now the hero, they needed a hero based on their own traditions. Okay. They weren't a part of the Hebrew. They couldn't be part of the Hebrew people. But eventually they developed a religion. So they developed a religion based on their own experiences. A Jesus that would bring them prominence and importance and promote them through his weakness. He will lift them up, while the Jews were saying, no, I cannot identify with that Jesus. Okay. While Socrates and the philosophers and so on, they, the Persian, no, the Greeks, no, they said, no, the Hebrew people, my Jesus is different. While they see Achilles a different, or while the Greeks saw Achilles that was a warrior kind of a Jesus. So when I have that lecture next week, I will present that to you next week when we start to look at the foundations of knowledge and the hegemony of faith. But I have already said this to you, that I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. Jesus is here, according to the scriptures, talking to his disciples, and they are bewildered. Okay. And he's saying to them, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to who? God the Father, except through me. Through me. And so many of them, so that becomes, it's commonly read in churches, and often they miss the significance and richness of what Jesus is actually teaching us. However, to understand the context of I am the way, the truth, and the life, we need to start in the previous chapter. In John chapter 13, Jesus is predicting his death, and the disciples simply don't understand it. And so Peter is asking a bunch of questions, and he's clearly confused. And he finally asks, Lord, why can't I follow you now? In John 13:37. So This was only one way, one of many questions, by the way, that the disciples asked Jesus. And it shows their bewilderment and their discouragement. And so in John 14, Jesus begins to comfort them. Jesus begins to comfort them and to clarify what will happen. Jesus starts, he said that he is preparing a place for them. And by the way, just so you know, this isn't the first time that Jesus spoke about his death and his resurrection and the preparation for his followers. And of course, you're asking, please, who is writing and what is the cultural experience of these people? So here it is that he's explaining this again. He's reflecting on the previous conversation he had, and they still don't get it. They are still confused. And so Thomas speaks up and said to him, Lord, we don't know where you are going, so how can we know the way? And that's from John chapter 14:5. So in a sense, when people talk about the Father's house, because we thought that, oh, the Jews have their gods, and the Greek and so on and so forth, and they are clearly going somewhere, but where are we, the Gentiles, going? What do we have? And so you don't need to worry, because now you have a new religion. You have, look to me. And they didn't understand where Jesus was going and how they could get there. So Thomas' question is for an unambiguous explanation of Jesus and their destination. So the disciples want to know where Jesus is going. They want to know where Jesus is going and how they can go with him. Where Jesus is going and how they can go with him. And of course, Jesus already said, come follow me. I'll show you the way. He already started with the thesis in the beginning, come follow me. To Peter, come follow me. Okay. And then he said, oh, I'm dying, but I'm also going to prepare a place for you. And then he says, I am the way. And it is through me that you guys will get engrafted into the olive tree. Now, so Jesus is talking to his disciples. Is he making a didactic statement to other people or to everyone? He clearly asked the disciples to follow him. The 12. Sorry, I thought my screen was open the entire time. He clearly asked the disciples to follow him. He clearly asked the disciples to follow him. The 12. Okay, and they're having a conversation. And he said, oh my God, they're going to die. Why? I want to follow you. And I'm like, are you going to follow me? Of course, I'm going to die, but once you follow me, you're going to get there. Now, he's having is he making a didactic claim that everyone is God, is Jesus here making an exclusive statement? We know he's speaking to the Gentiles. We know he's speaking to a certain group of people. But is he making an exclusive statement that everybody must abandon what they have and just come follow this Jesus? Is he?
Sir,
yeah.
The statement. Yeah. If Jesus here is saying to his disciples, right?
Yeah.
He's saying to them, I am a way, right? So follow me. He's making an exclusive statement when he say, I am the way. I am the life. Furthermore, when you push down, when you go back up, not further down, further up, when you go back to John 11, he made another statement about himself. He said, I am the resurrection and the life.
Yes.
These are statements that he continuously used in the book of John about himself. No, sir, if I am going to argue and say that he wasn't making an exclusive statement there when he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, no man comes to the Father except through him. The no man there, sir, is a general term, not just his disciple, but no man for all. But not only that, sir, I will have to then go back to John 11 and say then, if in John 13 is not an exclusive statement, John 11 is also not an exclusive statement when he say he is the resurrection and the life.
Well, there are those who believe that he's not speaking in the definitive. and he's making not necessarily making a didactic statement. He's speaking
But who would be the no man?
He's speaking to a group of followers already, followers. So and he is starting a new religion, or for those persons who are John is writing, of course, and he's writing using a particular perspective. And there are those who would say, well, he's writing to a particular followers and establishing this new way for Gentiles, for people who never had religion, for people who never had a way out. And so he is, and here it is that John is looking at the experience. John, who is writing, John, a man, is writing, looking at the experiences and the early development of Christianity, and Jesus coming on the scene, of course, and he's speaking to a particular group of individuals, and showing them a way out, showing them that, hey, you don't have to be Gentile, you don't have to feel as though you don't have any hope, you have no religion. Okay, he is creating something new, something for them, something, because fine, the Jews have their God, the Jews have their God, and the other people have their other religions. Okay, but what do you have? What do those people have? And Jesus brought hope. Of course, there are those who say, of course, he brought hope to the world. But there are those who say that, of course, Jesus is speaking to a group of people, and he is to a group of followers, and he's starting, of course, the period he's writing in is there were many religions that was competing for dominance. There are many religions that was competing for value. So here it is that the Bible, or John, is writing within a very competitive world. You know, when you study scripture, you have to also, you can't, you study it within, but you also study it within the context. You want to read what's going on at the time. Well, they are writing within a competitive world. Yes, but he's also developing, but he's also reaching out to a group of people who we thought that never had any religion and were excluded. But now he is reaching out to them, saying, you don't have to pretend that as if there's no hope anymore. And yes, I'm leaving you, but that's fine. Okay, what I'm leaving, you follow what I have left behind and preserve this faith. And then, but at the same time, yes, we know he says, no man cometh to the Father except through me. Now, but of course, he's talking to a group of people.
Sir.
The people, and he's talking within a particular milieu of competition, where there's fierce competition between those who are jostling for a particular aspect of God. So there are those who would argue that. Yes.
Yeah, I hear the argument, sir, and I can appreciate the argument. But yes, what is challenging is the particular word that Jesus chooses when he's making certain speech. For example, when you examine the word that he used, here he is speaking to his disciple.
Yes.
And as you said, yes, he's speaking to his disciple. But when he introduced this word, no one or no man, that now remove his disciple and broaden the context now and said, not just only brethren, but everybody else, when they want to come to a Father, must come through me. Because when you examine the word, sir, no man, you're looking at a word where mean not even one. None, nobody, nothing.
Yes, but as I said to you, you cannot, when you do exegesis or theology.
Yes, sir.
Theology is not done in isolation of anything else, and that's the problem people have. Theology, okay, when you study, and this is not church history, but if I suspect that you guys did church history now. Say, for example, I'll ask you the question. Christianity as a religion, with all in its forms and rituals and so on. And even the Bible, the book of John was a book by itself, yes? Written by, we said John, or whatever the case might be. That's what we say. But please remember that, like Homer's Iliad was written years after Homer told that, after that story about Achilles and them fighting over this woman and so on and so forth. We talk about the first 100 years of Christianity, and by the time we get to Ignatius, he gave the church a Roman identity, He gave the church a Roman identity because he was trying to give the church relevance. I mean, you have to, please remember we said that history is a result of the varieties of human nature and circumstance. So when we look at Bible, when we look, of course, we said, but what we have done is that we have said, we have given what the church fathers did through Augustine's writing was to give the Bible some level of authority. Because why was the church given a Roman identity? The church never had a Roman identity. The church adopted a Roman identity, and several other writings were included and others were not. As I said, there was you think about it in a competitive sense. The church was being persecuted or seen as weird, flesh-eating people, but over time the church grew and rose to dominance and became and the Roman emperor thought to use the church to establish his power. Okay, to establish his power. But before that, Ignatius and many of the early church fathers said, oh, in order to promote the church over any other religion, in order to promote the church, there was some human element to how we understand and to how the Bible is being. So many of these writings were from oral tradition, and eventually it was written. Now, it was written to provide a certain appeal. But of course, there are those who say that no, but there are those who say, is it true? Is it not true? But of course, the Bible, when you look at the fierce competition between religions and the early beginning of the church, and the fact that it had to adopt a Roman identity and given certain authority to establish its position over any other, then you will ask yourself the question, how are we to treat with this? Because this is actually, in a sense, when we look, Christianity as a religion or the Christian faith was developed within a particular tradition, within a particular understanding, within a particular society. Okay, so it was developed within a certain society. There are other societies that had their religion. There are other societies, and there was fierce, as I said, fierce competition between religion, because in today we talk about multinationals and the competition between multinational companies, or companies compete for dominance and exclusivity. In the first 100 years of Christianity and in the development of society, there was also this competition. The church, or faith and spirituality and faith was the center of society, and there were various denominations and religious institutions or people vying for dominance and for authority, of course. So then we are left. So we must ask ourselves this question: that those who believe, who interpret this Jesus as being exclusive, that said that those who say, well, he's being exclusive, but he's been exclusive to the Gentiles because the Jews already had. But then we are using, this is the 21st century or the 20th century or the 19th century, whatever the case might be, and we're interpreting language from the 20th century. Who is Jesus' audience? Is he talking to the Gentiles and to the followers, or is he talking to all men? But Jesus did not discount the religion of the Pharisees. The only thing he said of the Pharisees is that they were too far to see, or they were hypocrites or duplicitous. Okay, but he did not. Jesus did not discount his own religion, his own teaching of the faith. Okay, but however, as you look at the development of Scripture, he is reaching out to a new set of people. So then there are those who will argue, there are theologians who will argue, who would argue that Jesus, of course, so you have to look at that statement with other statement that Jesus have made. Jesus never discounted the religion of other people. However, when he was in the room healing that guy, he said, if those who are without faith leave the room, who don't believe in miracle. But does he discount them? So, but however, what we have done is that we have used this statement to discount other religions and other experiences. Was Jesus vying for something cultural, or was he vying for something, but understanding the particular society that Jesus is speaking from and he's speaking to, and also understanding that writings and experiences have become embellished. We said, let's say, for example, you read the scriptures, our Father who art in heaven. There's a part of it that is embellished by King James. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory forever. That was never in scripture. And of course, we said that the Bible was is different. There are several different parts of the Bible. I'm sorry, the Bible is not one book, but 66 books. And then there's the Old Testament and the New Testament. And there are some people who marry the old with the new, and there are some people who don't believe that there's a marriage between the old and the new. Okay, and of course there are some people who run with the Hebrew Bible because the Hebrew Bible speak to the Jewish people experience, while the Gentiles and the Corinthians and so on, they have a different experience. And so so then you are left with, then how are we to work? How are we as people to move from that understanding? So so when you look at how the Bible came to be, there are some people who would argue, and I use the word some people, there are some theologians who would argue that the Bible the 66 books that we have, what about the apocryphal books? There are some other books, there are some other religious writings that gave credence to other ways, to other truths, but was never included. You know why? Because it takes away from the purity of what the church fathers was trying to develop. A religion that was exclusive. So they kept the part that speak to its exclusivity, but anything that questioned the exclusivity, they leave it out. When I do theology, I don't do it in a vacuum. Okay? Of course, we said that God moved upon men to write the Bible. There are those, okay, and I spoke to that particular issue some time ago, how men have appealed to certain things to establish their authority. The same thing that monarchical rulership back in the day, monarchical rulership, kings and queens and emperors and God, they appeal to the authority of the Bible and to certain parts of the Bible. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man coming to the Father except through me. No man coming to God except through the Pope. And the Roman Catholic Church still have that today, where you have to, in order to get to God, you have to get through the Pope. And then you have the Renaissance and Reformation, who eventually changed that, okay, to now include, no, all men can go to God. We are all priests. But there are those who believe that, no, we are not all priests. So, I mean, there you are left with an understanding that you have to explore. Now, I believe that it's quite exclusive. It's an exclusive statement to some people, but to others it is not exclusive when you start to delve deeper into the text. By not only are we looking at the text itself, but we're looking at what happened and pertains in history, okay, and how the Bible came to be, okay, and what happened in terms of how, and then you start to look at who Jesus is speaking to, and the fact that he did not discount other religions in a sense. Neither did he discount the Jewish ways. He did not. Okay, he said some through teachings and the laws, but there are some through faith and through Jesus. Yes. So in one breath we hear Jesus talking about other routes. He doesn't discount the Jews and the Hebrews and so on. And we see where in the Bible where they talk about the unknown God and different experiences that have different gods, where the Bible don't discount that. I can't remember what scripture where there was you guys might have better memory of that than I do. A particular experience where the people of Israel or the prophets had an experience with some other group of people, and they introduced their God, and they said, oh, the unknown God, or this new God that we don't know about. But there was but there was no mention of exclusivity. There was still this unity. So it's quite interesting that so these are very important points that one may have to think
Yeah,
about.
important question. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
yeah, because sorry.
no, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, because we're doing Caribbean theology, trying to see how we can, what was imposed to us, how we can, grapple to see where we are and where we have to go. So as we do that, we have to ask this question, and basically the biblical text is important to use as we try to rationalize anything we are doing. So I'm asking those questions in quest of to see what we can get from there.
Let me answer the question. History is for the future.
History is for the future.
History is for the future. Men make sense of things. What we do now, men will make sense of it. And guess what? By the way, I was reading Humi Baba, and she was talking about V.S. Naipaul, and she said that people misread V.S. Naipaul's book. His intentions are misread. People read the V.S. Naipaul novels against the author's intentions and what he means. The same thing when you start to read people like Homer or the Iliad, and how when you read Greek, it's written with a kind of irony. And there are those who misread that irony. If you are not exposed to Greek irony, you will misread the Iliad and Greek myth. Was the Bible written? Was Jesus writing in a kind of irony, a kind of parable that we men in 100, 200 years later have misread? Or we talk about the competition, and we talk about competition. Was it written with a kind as people started to develop their Christianity? It is now written with a pedigree, with a certain pedigree that it was never intended.
All right, no problem. We're digging deeper. So, digging
but
a
some
little
of these,
deeper.
the more you know is the more you realize you don't know. The more you know is the more you chill and settle with your knowledge. The more you know is the more you don't be puffed up with knowledge. So I don't puff up what I know. The more I know about these things, I don't discount people who believe that, if you believe exclusivity, all power to you. Okay? You might be right and I might be wrong, but I say to people, all power to you. Okay? If that's what you believe, do it well. Okay?
But knowledge, that's what it entails.
Yes.
You can never tell somebody, Sean out. You don't have your place here. So we each of us have, our position and worldview, and that's how we say it. And we should respect.
But we know how human beings are.
Oh,
We are full of. Yeah, we say that the Bible is written by the inspired. Was written by the inspiration, through inspiration. God moved on men to write the Bible.
All right, so if I may,
let me finish the point real quick. That is what we know. That's what we are told. The Bible is written by the Bible is the inspired word of God.
Yes.
Part of that please remember, part of that inspiration, part of that idea of inspiration is important when you think about, again, the fact that men privilege their position, and the fact that no other religion is important than the religion of the church fathers, who hail from where? Where are they from? The church fathers. Most of them, where are they from? They're from Africa. None of them come from Africa, the church fathers. None of them come from Africa. So please put it into perspective. Okay? So people use certain things to make their thing better than the others. So so God moved upon these men and they wrote the Bible. Okay? And that is the only thing that we should take, nothing else.
It should not be, yeah. I agree with you, sir. Because I was looking at the book of Acts, and after I see the Ethiopian eunuch, I have not seen anything from Africa again, and I say, what comes of him? There are many questions that we should ask. So basically, what was, I should say, imposed or given to us, which is implemented by the colonial masters. So that's basically what we know.
Let me tell you, when you read the Bible, if you study Caribbean theology and slavery and history and privilege, power and position, when you privilege, power, and you read how the Bible talk about the Ethiopians, or how certain people are featured in the scriptures as against how others are featured. That some people are not important. They don't have a. It's as if it's as if it's some ethnocentrism, or they don't have no religion, and their God is second class to our God. Our God is the best God. So, I mean, I'm being troublesome, maybe. Oh, my God is the best. It's the same thing that the Europeans did when they went to Africa. Okay. Anyways,
all right, sure. So basically, sir, I want to again, as I share what I have here, I wish I can. Let me see if I can share. I didn't do an assignment to present in class. It was the first class we had. When you said we can just do 1 page or a half page just to try to define theology, that's what I did.
No, but no, you did a complete paper. I think you did 2 pages.
Oh, that was a different one. That is the number 2 where you speak about Kamitic spirituality.
Oh, okay. Afro spirituality. Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Oh,
but for this one, what I did is just a definition that I tried to put together a definition myself based on my understanding. And what I did, I think it aligns with the idea. I don't know if I put it together based on the English and the paragraph I am here, but I am still, fighting with this idea that every religion that we have here, emerged from Africa with demonized. I don't know if that's the right word. And I'm still thinking about it. I read about it, but I think that's exactly what you are saying here. Why do we say, voodoo is evil, Zion revivalists, and even in the one that I do, Kamitic spirituality, I spoke about this religion here in Jamaica, Kumana, something like that. I think I spoke about something there. Different one, I talk about the Shanga from Trinidad.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Read it. I want to hear it. I'm in fact, I love how you start in an article published by the Jamaican.
Well, this is my definition about Caribbean theology. So that's what I was trying to do. That's all I did. 1 paragraph just to try to.
Okay, we only have 12 minutes, so I don't care what you have. Just give it to me what you have.
Okay, so basically that was trying to define theology. I say in an article published by the Jamaica Glean. So here I quote what Reverend Garnette Roper said. Yeah, and that was word from William Watty. Straight, it says, Caribbean theology must begin with a critical examination of the theology which has so far been received in order to liberate and reorientate the Caribbean mind. I say, based on what I read and my understanding, I say Caribbean theology has to emerge from the necessity of the people of the Caribbean to be emancipated from system and practices that were imposed on them under the disguise of spiritual practices to maintain. So basically, the belief system they brought to us, and they say it's complete submission, complete obedience, slave, obey your master and whatever. So that these were imposed on us.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying.
So rich. Yeah. So rich, so poor. So rich. By the way, I don't like how you start.
Yeah, you said it earlier.
I'd rather you, but I love how I'd rather you start by saying Caribbean theology has to emerge from the necessity of the people of the Caribbean to be emancipated from systems and practices that were imposed on them under the disguise of spiritual practices to maintain God. In an article published by the Jamaica Gleaner on March 10, 2013. That is how I would, okay?
Oh, okay.
That's how you, but okay, so that's how you would you would change it up there. But yeah. Okay, but I still think that I'm happy that you gave me that thing from Garnette Roper. Beautiful. Okay, I love it. But I want to pause you a little bit before you go on. What you're saying is profound.
That's my thinking. Yeah.
Powerful. I love it. And you see how you talk to me just now? You say it and then you just start. You guys, you are talking to me. And when you talk to me, I want what you're saying to me, exactly what you're saying to me, to put that back. That's why I like to record me. I like to record. I record because, we people in the Caribbean and people of African descent and so, we verbose. We verbose. And sometimes we think better when we talk.
Oh, sure.
You wanna okay? You guys are talking to me now, and you guys are deep as hell. Sorry, as heaven. Sorry about that. You guys are deep. You guys are profound. This is profoundly powerful. And if you guys have said so much, you guys could write a whole essay, just so you know. Okay. What you have just said to me, William, I fully appreciate it. It's quite powerful. And by the way, you said that using Garnette Roper's word, quoting the word of William Watty, saying that Caribbean theology must begin with a critical examination. Don't hear the word critical again. And the other day in Caribbean thought, we defined critical or critical thinking. Or can we talk about critical race theory? Is to revisit, it is to dissect. You're revisiting history. That people don't want you to revisit history. People want to put books that are in critical race theory and critical thinking on the book. They want to ban those books because they're afraid of you guys revisiting stuff because they might find out stuff that people don't want you to find out. Then you start revisit the Bible, the people, the status quo, and the papacy, and the pastors and stuff. They don't want their congregants to revisit stuff because then they might find out stuff that will challenge their power and challenge their authority. Yes, they don't want you to revisit stuff because they want to maintain their privilege, power, and position. But Caribbean theology must begin here with a critical examination of the theology which has so far been received. The theology, notice I love how he put it. The theology which has so far been received. Received.
Yes.
Please remember that when they came to the Caribbean, they came for what? To Christianize and to find gold.
Yes.
Because they said, we don't have no religion. We are savages.
Yes.
You know, I was watching a movie yesterday. I'm watching a cartoon. There was this cartoon. I love watching animes. So right now I'm watching a cartoon series. What's that cartoon series called again? What's the cartoon series? No, the one now. The one we're watching now. The Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince. So I'm watching the Dragon Prince, and there's one thing where the humans wanted to go to the elf world to get magma, hot magma, from this monster, and they call the guy a monster, and he said, oh, he can supply us with a lot. And they said, we got to go kill him. And then one person said, no, why we have to kill him? Is he intelligent? No, he's not intelligent. He's a monster. It's okay, we can kill it. He's a monster. And so they went and killed the monster and went back, and they were justified. You know why they were justified? They were justified because they were killing the monster. It's a monster. Mm-hmm. And I said to people, that's exactly what happened with colonization. That's exactly what happened. They redefine the people as savages. They redefine, and even in today's society, people try to justify their abuse. People try to justify their violence. People try to justify their police brutality or whatever the brutality. People try to justify slavery and so on by calling people monster.
Yes. Sir.
Yeah.
I'm asking permission, sir, to leave a little bit early. My wife is seeking my assistance.
Oh, what time you want to leave?
Right now.
Where's your wife? Okay, wait. You guys gonna have worship at this time?
No. She's sorting out some stuff that she need my help with.
She should be in this class. Tell her that she should be here. Tell her that this class is very important and your professor is serious about this class.
Yes.
But because you came early and everything, that's fine. Okay.
I won't leave early again, sir. I'm ensure that I'm sorting this out that it don't come back to bite me.
Get with Chantel with regarding the books that you need, and she will. Okay, and then the secondly is and the other assignment is not due until next week. And you can watch this is going to be available on YouTube and our channels. If you go to the neoliberal.com and knowledgemckenzie.com, or go to my YouTube channel or my podcast channels, this is going to be available for you to watch. Okay.
Yes,
All right, good. But so take care and be safe, and God bless you and the family. Well, Williams, as I was saying, so all of this is, but this is important. He said the theology which has been received so far in order to liberate and reorient the Caribbean mind. Liberate and to reorient the Caribbean. So continue. You said Caribbean theology, and you said something quite powerful. You said Caribbean theology has to emerge from the necessity of the people of the Caribbean to be emancipated. You will get an A. I don't, from what I have. I love it. From systems and practices that were imposed on them under the disguise of spiritual practices to maintain. And you are making a very important point. Continue.
Well, I say, but however, God wants the people of the Caribbean to contextualize his word as a tool for radical change.
Yes.
It says he has blessed us with the Caribbean with natural resources, but we have demonized them and adopted what seems to be destroying us as a people.
Yes.
So I bow this word again, a critical examination of the theology we inherit and what we want for ourselves will help us to shape our own theology in order to establish a just, equitable, and responsible society.
Yes.
Because deeply I believe all we need is to have a Caribbean theology that will bring us to the point of having a just, equitable, and responsible society. That's all I'm thinking about.
Oh my God. That's what, oh my, I love how your mind is. You say we need a Caribbean theology because we need a just and equitable society, not just in the Caribbean, but the world. Okay?
Yes.
And that is exactly why we practice Caribbean theology. That is why we are doing this course. Okay? So that we can move towards an equitable society. But our theology has been one that has made us into simpletons, okay, and less competitive in the world.
Yes.
So then we need a Caribbean theology that takes away the shackles that hold us back.
That's what I'm thinking, sir. That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Come on. Continue, sir. Continue. Love it.
Well, that's my definition. And I say a Caribbean theology must bring awareness to us of our dignity as a people. We must know that we are wonderfully and beautifully made by God. So we have to stop devaluing ourselves, thinking that we are inferior, hence thinking of that we have to do things to be accepted in society. For instance, when I was writing that, I was thinking why a Caribbean individual was used cream to bleach to become white. That came to my mind as I was writing this.
Yes, yes.
I said, these are things that we need to, hey, listen, we are put the way we are. So basically, all these things are done because we believe we are inferior. So that's why we need an equitable and responsible society. That was my thought going all through as I was writing this.
Yes, that's quite powerful. Even in our theology, we are made to feel inferior.
Yes.
Even in our theology, we are made to feel inferior, and things that the Africans and people, we can't do it because of a theology that is of European nature. Wow, this is powerful. I love this class. This is amazing. I love your presentation and Howard's presentation. And it was succinct but powerful. Okay, it was a one pager, but it was
That's all I did, because I didn't know I would have to write more than that.
No,
that was the first class. That's what you said in the
You don't need to write anything else. I will accept this. The only thing I have said, and I've already said to you, that you could have started with
the code,
Caribbean theology, and then move it. Yeah, that's the only thing. Apart from that, I will accept this. This is good, and this is where we will end class today. I actually have an essay that I did that looks at the foundation of knowledge and the hegemony of faith. And I talk about the Iliad and irony, and how irony was used, how irony is being used, and how people misread Greek literature to mean something else. And I remember reading somewhere where they said, history is for the future. You know, people would make whatever is done now, it is interpreted later in the future, and they may misread it anyways. You know what I mean? Or if they may deliberately misread it, if they want to develop some kind of value for themselves over others.
Yes, sir.
Which is human nature, driven by human nature and selfishness. Thank you, Williams. And
thank you, sir.
If you need a copy of the book, talk to Chantel.
Sure, I will speak to Chantel. Yes, I will
tell you how to get.
She's very reliable, sir. Thank you for her.
Oh, you are welcome. And she is reliable.
Thank you, Chantel. Yeah,
I
She's
give
very
God
nice.
thanks for her, and
Yeah, she's nice.
You're welcome, William. You're very much welcome.
we must, and I said to people, we have to support people. We have to support our Caribbean, support our writers, support our Black businesses, support your professor, and I'm okay. Support, and by the way, you don't have to go outside of the seminary to get books. Some of your very own professors have written powerful books that speaks to our own experience, and I'm trying to recapture that. Support your Black writers.
Oh, sure, sir. Sure,
This is
sure,
one
sure.
written by. This is written by Keith and Nelson and Novella Keith. But I noticed one thing though: a lot of local books written by your own people. They're hard to get a hold of. It's like they're not available.
Yeah.
I want to change that. That's part of my mission and goal. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
God bless you guys.
Thank you. God bless you, sir.
You are welcome. And the good thing about you have already done the second part of the homework. So
yes, I did.
So now you can relax and chill and get ready for module 3, which we will do next week Monday. Okay.
All right, sir.
All right, but
all right. Good night. Yes, Chantal will speak to you. I will speak to you. No.
Yeah, man. Take care. Be safe.
All right. Good night. Good night.
Yeah, man, Chantal. We talk in a few minutes. Give me 15 minutes.
Yes,
let's rendezvous.